and welcome to another episode of the Friends Per Second podcast. It's been another jam-packed couple of weeks of gaming news, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So I'm Lucy James, joining me as usual, Jake Baldino.
Hello.
Ralph, aka Skillup. You'll know. This is his channel.
Hello.
And because we've got to keep the beard quota, and Jirard is unfortunately not feeling very well, we've got the beard quota. We've got to keep, we've got to keep things balanced, as all things should be. We're joined by Tamoor Hussain.
Part-time Jirard. That's me. Every time Jirad's sick, I'm
like,
here, baby.
You only finish
so
like
true.
some things.
You need to, the beard needs to be about 7 times longer.
It used to be.
You just do that. It'd be great.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
I had a very similar one, and I was like, I just got to go. I'm going through an airport. I don't want to do this.
I don't need that smoke.
Yeah, I don't need that smoke additionally on top of the normal smoke I get.
Well, thank you so much for hopping in, Tam.
Yeah.
It's weird saying, like, it's so good to see you when I talk to you all day, every day.
It's good for me to see you. It's good for me to see you, Tam. Okay, I'm very glad to see you.
I'm
just
glad
like-
to see you guys too.
It's like, hey, Tam, it's Lucy, brackets, from work.
From work. He's a friend from work.
We have, like I mentioned, an action-packed show. We're all sitting down, but you know what I mean. There's tons of stuff to talk about. You can stand up. Hey, I've got
I'm
a
not
standing
standing up,
desk.
man. I'm sitting down, okay? You can stand up all you want. I'm staying right here.
I can get the under desk treadmill out. So not only are we going to be talking about all the stuff that's been happening in the world of video games over the past couple of weeks, but we also have an interview with Rafal Jaki, aka the showrunner, executive producer, and I believe creator of the new hit Netflix anime made by Studio Trigger as well, Cyberpunk Edgerunners. It was a very fun chat.
Yeah.
He's a lovely guy and very fun to chat to. So please be excited for that one. But I guess, boys, anything big happen this week
No,
at
nothing.
4 a.m. in the morning
Oh.
on a Sunday? Oh my God.
What a thing to wake up to.
This was
Oh,
this
yeah.
happened while I was raiding Destiny, actually, funnily enough.
Typical.
I was doing like my triple Kingsfall clear for the week on a Sunday, and all of a sudden I started getting spammed with all these mentions. And they're like, oh, look at this. And I'm like, I just said to my guys, I'm like, oh, hey, I think GTA 6 might have leaked. And they're like, what? Everyone alt tabs away from the raid. We wipe, you know.
Yeah, I
So-
remember when it happened. I was just like exiting out of the Rockstar Slack and just finished uploading it onto it.
That's right, nice.
I was drunk in In-N-Out on the Las Vegas Strip. And I
Beautiful.
thought I was hallucinating. But yeah,
Beautiful.
one of the biggest leaks in video game history. A bunch of footage from a build of I was going to say Red Dead Redemption.
Let's go Red Dead Redemption 3.
Yeah,
Earlier
totally.
today, I QA'd a video we made about Red Dead Redemption, which is going up, I think, this weekend. It's a great video. Jake Decker, aka
Oh, nice.
Jake, who edits this video,
Yes.
edits it. But yeah, it's footage from GTA 6, the long-awaited GTA 6. It went up on the 9th anniversary, I believe, of GTA 5 coming out. So what else have we got there? We got like 90-something videos. Potentially source code for 4, 5, and 6. The hacker, first of all, I think it was unbelievable how he posted it and just went, oh, I didn't expect this to blow up. Is he joking?
That was what I
Having a laugh.
Well, I don't know if he was having a laugh or he's really disconnected from the world, because he also like hacked Uber, for example. And so I wonder if he was just like,
Yeah.
oh, Rockstar's just another company. They're making video games, I guess. Maybe he has no concept whatsoever of what he's actually done or how fucked he truly is. Like,
Yeah.
truly fucked.
Attempted to extort money from Rockstar. And if
I was going to say, like, I think you can say, oh, he has no idea what he's doing up until
until
he
the
attempted to extort money from Rockstar.
No. You know why? Because he said, I will only accept 5 figures or more. Dude, fucking $10,000 is 5 figures. Like, that is nothing.
True.
If you know what Rockstar
Damn.
is, you are requesting like 9 figures. Do you know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
why I think this guy does not know what he's talking about. That was actually the major thing that made me think this guy's got no idea. So
no. That's,
Yeah.
like 2 hours on GTA Online is what he's asking for, basically.
Exactly. That's right. That's what I said in my script, but then I cut it because I thought it was too acidic, and I was like, "Oh, this is a bit risky. People will think I'm pro extortion." So then we cut it. I cut it from my news
And we
show. But
put
that's
it in
exactly
the
what I said.
podcast.
Jesus. You know, if he was smart, he would post YouTube videos comparing what happens when you shoot out the tires in GTA 6 compared to what happens if you shoot out the tires in GTA 5. Because that's a big thing for people. That's content.
He would be taking videos of every puddle in Vice City.
Yeah.
And just putting it on the internet.
Yeah.
Like,
and he would frame them all like Xbox performance versus PlayStation performance. That's how you really get it going viral, man. That's how you do it, you know?
Amateur
hour from this this hacker. So yeah, we didn't get to see. I watched like one or two that were circulating on Twitter. I didn't watch a whole lot of it. I was too busy preoccupied with my burger at the time. I mean, overall, this is a huge leak. This is obviously not the way we expected to see GTA 6 for the first time. Rockstar obviously very, very good at keeping a lid on things. But yeah, I mean, what do we feel? Has this spoiled the surprise for you all of seeing GTA 6 for the first time?
I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, like, no one wants to. It's not GTA 6. Like, in a lot of ways, like it's a prototype version of something that will eventually become GTA 6. Which, for people like us who are used to seeing this kind of stuff and have either been looking at leaks or looking at early, prototype footage with the permission and acceptance of developers or publishers, this isn't really all that different for us. Well, we look at it and we go like, we can look at it and be like, yeah, that looks like they use some GTA 5 assets to prototype some new gameplay ideas, and we understand that. But
Tam, graphics come first in game development.
That's the problem.
First
like, where
thing
you
they do.
And I talked about this on Twitter, but like, there's an alarming amount of people who have no idea how video game development works, despite being out there very confidently talking about how video games work. And I'm just like, this is wild.
Dude, we have no idea how video game development works. And we live and breathe video games 24/7.
Exactly.
Like, we have absolutely no fucking clue.
Yeah, I think like for Rockstar, it's got to be frustrating because it's like, especially for Rockstar, who has this very specific, very kind of like, Rockstar makes top tier games. Rockstar also like announces top tier games and markets top tier games. Every aspect of their kind of game rollout, ranging from release of screenshots to like simple things like, just teasers and stuff, is very carefully curated. So to have
let's also just say the GTA remasters, which I think we need to also.
Yeah.
We'll touch on that.
Because that, I think,
the one big misstep
to the rule. Yeah. I mean, like, the games were biffed, but like they still tried their best to kind of course correct. But like the fact that this has come along and kind of like upended them has got to be frustrating for them. But also, like, a lot of these developers that are working on it are like probably not feeling too great about this. I would have preferred to get the classic polished first time treatment, just to get a better idea of their vision. And I think that's the trickiest part of it right now, where it's like, oh, we've heard rumors about it being a Bonnie and Clyde style story. And I would have liked to have seen their vision for that as they wanted us to kind of see it, instead of like, here's a male character walking up to another character and you can see the text kind of propped coming up and the engine working to feed the lines and that kind of stuff. And it's just like, it's not great for anyone, really.
I actually feel a little bit different in the sense that I don't really think it's that big a deal, and I don't feel the surprise has been spoiled at all. As in, like, for example, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, they got photographed as Ken and Barbie, right?
Let's go. This is the podcast I want to be on, finally.
Hell yeah, all right, man. Hell yeah. So I'm like, okay, those photos look fucking sick. They look super cool. Go them. But at the same time, I don't feel like Barbie, that movie, has been spoiled for me. Okay, I'm going somewhere with this. Just bear with me, Tam, okay? Bear with me, right?
The photos don't look sick. I think you mean Margot Robbie looks hot and so does Ryan Gosling. That's what you're saying.
My point with all this is that the Barbie movie, which I'm very excited about, has not been spoiled. It's like we saw a picture of them dressed up, but the movie is all of this extra stuff, the connective tissue, the script, the soundtrack, the whatever else. So yeah, I know what they look like now as Ken and Barbie. Okay. But I'm still really looking forward to that trailer, and I'm still looking forward to that movie because that's what it's all about. And I feel very much the same way with these leaks because, go on, you go.
I was going to say the difference is a movie screenshot leaks. We look at it and we go, looks good, doesn't look good. We move on with our lives. Like video leaks and like this is the discourse now. Like this is the only, like from now until the next time Rockstar talks about this game, which could be years, this is the discussion. And it's based on a thing that is kind of like early and that kind of stuff. So I get what you're saying. For me, I don't care one bit because I've already forgotten most of what I saw, so I'm fine.
Sure.
I've got a shit memory, which like helps me massively. But like every time there's a discussion around GTA now, everyone's going to be like, well, it looks shit. We saw that thing. And it's going to be like, oh, God, these people are here again.
I don't know. Look, okay, I would contrast this with like The Last of Us 2 leaks, for example, which I was certainly exposed to prior to launch, despite the fact that I tried to avoid them, but everyone just posts them in every corner of the internet. And if you have a comment section on YouTube, then it's impossible.
That's it.
So those were terminal leaks, I would say, because they spoiled one of the biggest moments in the game, and I think they corrupted the narrative around that game forever. And it set this kind of cycle in play that the game never really recovered from. I'm not seeing that same cycle emerging here. I think, there's going to be your bad faith actors and your really ignorant people that don't know anything and they're like, this looks shit. But I think on the whole, most people are talking more about the fact that it leaked rather than the contents of the leak. And that for me is sort of testament to the fact that there wasn't much there. You know what I mean?
But also in a way, like Rockstar has barely, but they have formally acknowledged the existence of GTA 6, but they have not really gone into a lot of detail about it. And the fact that this leaked, it must feel for some people who are, that it's just nice to know that it does actually really exist and it is further along than perhaps.
Yeah. Sure. A PowerPoint deck.
Yeah.
The stuff that I saw in there, some of it was like pretty cool. Yeah. Like it looked really interesting. So like by no means am I like, this is ruined GTA 6. Not at all. Like for me, I was like, cool. Looks like you're trying to do some stuff with this game. Looks interesting. Yeah. I'm excited about it. Like I'm always going to be excited about it. I think that the thing is like for them, they're like, well, this is not how we wanted it to happen.
No.
And like I am chronically online as we all are. So I just know that for the next year until they show off some sort of polished trailer is going to get like weirdos just talking about this specific thing and this leak. But like here's the thing. I don't give a shit either way.
Yeah,
I agree. It isn't. I think all it really did, like, I feel like by the end of the week, maybe like the news cycle has been so intense, but like now that we're recording this podcast, it almost feels like, oh yeah, that did happen. And like when you are online so much, it's like I see less people talking about it already, which is crazy when you do think about it. The fact that it is like the biggest thing, it's the follow up to like the biggest thing in the world. I think for me, it just takes the wind out of my sails for I like when like the first trailer comes out for a thing and like we dissect the trailer. Like I love dissecting the first Red Dead 2 trailer, the Grand Theft Auto trailer, like that stuff's fun. So now it's going to be like when this trailer drops, it's going to be like, oh, it seems like you might play as a girl. I wonder what's going to happen there when it's like, we saw a bunch of like random shit a year prior or so like that.
I tell you what, you can look forward to dissecting the lawsuit that will result from this. Once the FBI catch this dude and like you put him on trial, like that could be interesting.
Let's make a movie. I want to see that.
It's not that I don't have faith in Tam, but when he said, you know what, you can dissect, I genuinely thought a D's nuts joke was coming.
Yeah, that's what I was really waiting for it.
No, don't wait 100%. Don't be cutting into my balls.
There has already been a terrible Rockstar documentary. So I don't know if you guys ever got it. It was starring Daniel Radcliffe. Sam Hauser.
At the end, the last scene.
I heard about this.
They have scrubbed that shit from the internet. Like I did a video like history of Grand Theft Auto, and I was talking about Game Changers, which is what it was called. You can't find it for love nor money.
No way. Wow, interesting.
Could not find that one. However, Football Factory was produced by Rockstar Games, technically. So
I don't know what Football Factory is. What is that?
It's a British movie about footballers.
Right. Okay.
Also not good.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But I was gonna say, so like, are you? I feel like we've talked about it. Like, it's not the best way of seeing the game for the first time, but like, are you more or less excited about GTA after some of the stuff that's kind of come out from these leaks?
I feel pretty good. I was like, all right, cool. It seems like it's like we can't see what the next big leap really is. We just see that there is a game that confirms a lot of the rumors that have been kind of swirling around. I don't know. Like, I like at least seeing that, like, yeah, you saw people be like, graphics bad, game looks bad. But like, I don't know. I think overall, like, most people seem pretty like all right on it, which as somebody who just makes video online, I'm just like, our future is secure. For the next like 4 years, 4 or 5 years, we have something like to just always go to at least.
I think that the interesting part of it is like they've gone down from 3 characters to 2 characters, which is really exciting for me because like they managed to pull off some really cool things with the 3 character kind of setup where they were, you know, zooming in and out into characters, and each time would be like you'll zoom in on Franklin and he's doing something weird, or like, you know, any of the other Trevor's up to no good again. And like going back to 2 characters makes me think, oh, that creates the runway to do more interesting things with the environment and put them in more interesting situations. I love the idea of taking that. You know how it was where like you'd zoom in, you'd be playing as Michael and you'd switch over to Trevor, and Trevor's like in the middle of a gunfight or something. And you'd be like, oh shit. Like doing that with a Bonnie and Clyde situation where you're also combining it with, you know, planning heists or something like that. It feels like they could do some really cool things, and not having, you know, the resources taken up by an extra character means any number of things. The AI could be better, the city could be denser, you know, any number of different things in the way the game's constructed could be improved because of that. And also they're working off current generation technology. So it's definitely exciting as a prospect. And I love the idea of them doing a Bonnie and Clyde story. Like I never, just that on paper, Rockstar is doing Bonnie and Clyde is like really cool to me. Very cool. Yeah.
I'm always, I don't know where I heard it, but like I'm imagining a scene of Pulp Fiction with like Honey Bunch and whatever. That's what I'm imagining, not Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah,
that's right. That's the duo that I'm imagining. You know.
Yeah, I also think the seemingly the location and the more real world version of it, I think has cool ramifications for story. I just love how Rockstar can comment on American culture, and I think where it takes place, it can show some really, really awful things and how things can be for people in this country. And it would be really cool for them to do that, especially if they're coming hot off of, I'm hoping coming hot off of Red Dead, they want to continue telling, you know, insightful stories. Where 5, I thought some of the commentary, like, and how it poked fun at America didn't really, I don't know. It felt a little like we've been here, we've done this. I think by radically changing the location, I think it can feel pretty fresh.
Here's my prediction. I'm gonna go on record and say it.
Here we go.
GTA 6 will be the first fully multiplayer campaign in GTA history.
I think that's I think that's a good guess.
Yeah, I think that's going to be 2 people, 2 characters, co-op, full campaign. And that just makes the most sense for this like Bonnie and Clyde setup.
Yeah.
And then you take those characters online.
Yeah. And like, but the idea of like you having 2 separate campaigns that intersect at the same time, like you can be on 2 separate sides of the city doing different things that eventually, you know, converge to one thing sounds amazing. I bet you that's their big leap.
Oh, that's pretty ambitious. Yeah.
That'd be right. I mean, and it kind of marks in with the ethos that Rockstar have, where they do push themselves each game.
Yeah, push themselves, and also like the learnings. If you look at what they have been building up recently, or since 5 and 4 as well, like it makes perfect sense because like they have sunk a hell of a lot of time and effort into online and creating, you know, getting really familiar with the idea of a lot of people in one shared environment.
And story campampagns.
And campaigns and like heist stuff. Like they did that. They had a couple of those in the main campaign, and they started doing smaller bits of it. If their idea is now, let's scale that back, 2 people and build a campaign around a co-op story with these things, and you can still do these major things. That 1 seems achievable, and 2 seems very exciting, and 3, like when they do announce it as like fully co-op campaign, that's going to be a big deal for everyone, I think.
Yeah, move over, Resident Evil 5.
Yeah.
See you later, Sheva.
Hey, guys.
Get out of there, Sheva.
Ralph, you mentioned obviously the GTA remasters from last year.
Yeah. It was last year. Yeah, crazy.
Oh, Christ, where does the time go? And like, you know, and the kind of the outpouring towards Rockstar as a result of these leaks has been kind of positive. People are commiserating with Rockstar because, you know, this was out of their control. They suffered a breach, an attack from this guy who doesn't even know what he was really
Someone
going
at
for.
Slack is getting a phone call though. 100%.
Is that how they
Yes.
did they
it was
social
Slack,
engineering
yeah.
again? Oh my god.
Slack.
But yeah, so like with regards to the you brought up the GTA remasters earlier, Ralph. Did you have anything to kind of go off?
Yeah, I mean,
on
I feel like that is forgotten in all of this as well. Because I mean, like, I really do feel very sorry for the Rockstar workers who work and create things and take pride in their work and are interested to show stuff off. But at the same time, like, Rockstar company, Take-Two company, pulled some serious bullshit last year with the GTA remasters. And I think that's really been forgotten. Like, this is a company or a set of companies that specifically withheld all actual gameplay prior to the launch of those titles. They also did not provide a review window for those titles, specifically so they could hide how broken they were and the fact that they were basically mobile ports as well, right? I can't think of a game in recent memory that hasn't had a review window, by the way. That is exceedingly rare these days, except for like online titles where like they launch day one with all the servers, you know? Can you guys think of anything that hasn't had a review window in the last few years?
Oh, I know
Yes,
one. I know one.
Which one?
You
What
go
am I thinking?
No, Tam, it's your one. It's absolutely the one you were going to say.
No, say your one because I don't think it is.
Demon Souls.
Demon Souls didn't have yet. Demon Souls didn't have a review window, but it was weird
Totally
because
forgot
like
about that.
I don't think you can tell when a game doesn't have a review window because something's up, and you can tell when they doesn't have a review window because it's just like, you know, we are going by the seat of our pants here, and we will get it. And that's what Demon Souls felt like. Demon Souls felt like it's just going to come in hot. We're sorry, it's PlayStation 5 launch title.
they just didn't turn the servers on for that.
I mean,
Right.
Sony like gave us access to literally everything. They're like, we just there's like we can't. There's a game that does. I mean, like, I'm not going to say it because it's not out yet. So,
oh shit! Message.
It's
But there's a game
actively right now that I've been like, where is the code, man? Where is the code?
Oh, right. Okay.
And multiple people have been like, this seems weird, and I'm like, it does seem weird.
What, an upcoming release?
Yeah, this is going to be the focus of the comments now, isn't it? But I promise you, it's way less exciting than you think.
Or is it an indie title? There's a AA, AAA?
Let's just move on. I'll tell you guys later.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, but look, even though with Demon Souls, we did see gameplay prior to launch.
We did.
And so I feel like, and also don't forget that back then Rockstar delisted the original games so you couldn't play them on Steam. And they also, DMCA struck a whole bunch of community mods that were non-monetized, community-created mods. They even DMCA struck a save file. Like there's a 65% completed save file that Rockstar DMCA struck for reasons. You know what I mean? So I definitely feel sympathy for the workers, 100%. Sucks for them, but at the same time, like, I don't really feel much sympathy for Take-Two Interactive. Like, genuinely no. Like, it's just, again, you hide gameplay for your upcoming game to hide how broken it is. And then, you know, your next title gets leaked. I made the joke on Twitter that was like, well, at least we got to see some gameplay for GTA 6 prior to launch, which is more than we could say for Thingo. And some people are like, dude, that was in bad taste. I'm like, no, it's not. It's true. Okay. That's a true statement. That's what happened. And that's how it goes, you know? So
did you refer to it as Thingo in the tweet?
Yeah.
I didn't do Thingo. I just, you know, I'm just rolling here on the podcast lingos. You know how it is. You get me. You understand. You know what I'm talking about.
The podcast lingo.
The podcast lingo.
The only podcast lingo we have is like, oh, friend of the show.
True. The what is it? Gaming Infinity Stones. Was it the one? That's right.
Yeah.
That was also.
And then last
Tam,
week
did you know that you're an Infinity Stone?
I learned and I was very excited. I hope that I'm power because there's a lot of those. And
I was thinking you were mind.
Mind. I'll take mind. Last week, Gene was like, "Oh, you've got the Avengers of podcasting here," and I was like, "What's going on with these lot?"
Yeah, we're in the pocket of big Marvel. Clearly.
Known as the Fantastic Four.
I'd like to think of us as like the Netflix Marvel shows of gaming podcasting.
You are like the
I'm Jessica
Defenders.
Jones.
Right. Nice.
Oh my god. Well, in keeping with kind of the leak conversation, this is one of the biggest leaks of any video game, I think. Certainly in recent memory. The Last of Us was 2020, but obviously there was the Half-Life 2 leak. Fallout 4. How do you think this one compares? Do you think we're all just too online now and that's why the conversation seems like it's been a bit bigger, or do you think it's because of the fact that it is Rockstar?
Mm-hmm. Rockstar definitely amplifies it a lot, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is literally GTA 5 is the most profitable media product in the history of humanity. So then that obviously brings the stakes up. But as I said before, I don't think it's that big a deal. I'm not sure if anyone.
I mean, it's a big. We're very fixated on GTA 6, but apparently all the source code for GTA 5 and online is out there.
Yeah, that's the crazy
thing. Also
thing.
a pretty crazy thing because that's actively in live, and someone could potentially reverse engineer some wacky shit and get in there and be like, "Remember this weird game that is constantly doing insane shit? I'm about to make it worse for all of you." And that's potentially.
Or they could just give everyone unlimited funds. They could just be like the Robin Hood of the video games world, and everyone will like protect this man, and then he'll have a safe house anywhere he goes. Do you know what I mean?
Which he'll have a safe house which Rockstar will nuclear strike immediately in game, and like just
finally they'll change the map.
They'll get his character and like put it on a pike in Liberty City or wherever it is, and just be like Los Santos, and be like, remember.
This is what happens.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of leaks in general, I mean, it feels like being as online as we are, as involved in video game discourse and culture as we are, leaks are kind of par for the course kind of now.
Yeah.
You get, the Twitter accounts. We will get to the insider in a minute. Bloody hell. Because that was another thing this week. Sorry, my cat. Oof, off she goes. Yeah, but like there's also, journalists, people saying, I heard. Where do you guys kind of stand on hearing leaks and rumors? There's subreddits, there's tweets, there's everything. Because in one side of things, it's like, oh, okay, it's good to sort of at least get an idea, even if it's misguided, of like what could be coming up, what could be happening. But then, you get the other side of it where it's ruining the surprise and the excitement of events and announcements. So where do you guys stand on that?
I
like how this is two in a row. I've asked a question. You've all kind of sat there in contemplative silence.
You've given us these.
I'm actually trying to find. There was that one instance of someone walking into a trade show and picking up a demo unit and walking out. I was trying to find out, what game it was. That was like the most audacious leak of all time, where this person was like, I'm just going to take this entire fucking console.
And then there was also like all the iPhone stuff where someone like left their iPhone, iPhone prototypes in a cafe or whatever, and it gets shared around.
Someone was working on a presentation for, what was it, Tomb Raider? Tomb Raider game?
It was the third Tomb Raider.
Yeah, on a metro. Yeah.
There was also that lad, that absolute numpty that left a USB in a medieval times. Remember that guy?
What was on that USB stick? Just jog my memory.
Certainly not a video game.
Legal
it was magic tricks, as I believe was the explanation. Certain type of magic. So
it's interesting.
Why you guys would fuck me on this is I don't know.
with the leak stuff though, it's funny how much that whole I heard, or like there's a rumor, or like this cool guy tweeted this thing, how much that doesn't really permeate towards the bigger picture. I mean, to then jump back to Grand Theft Auto, I was waiting around to see if my more like normal friends that love Grand Theft Auto but aren't hyper online would text me about it, and I haven't heard a peep. Like nobody really knows, so it hasn't permeated as much. So it's like if something as big as that doesn't really get out that far or it be exposed that much, then like who cares too much about someone tweeting about something? Like I feel like it only goes so far. It's like for us by us, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these leaks really got me thinking about the morality of leaks as we consider them and deal with them every day in our line of work, because we're like, oh, this person leaked some gameplay files that showed Grand Theft Auto. It's like, okay, well, fair enough. That's obviously bad in many contexts. But at the same time, it's like, well, many journalists that we look to regularly leak the existence of projects. You know, like we have your Jason Schreiers and your Jeff Grubbs and your Tom Hendersons and whoever, you know, like Andy from Video Game Chronicle. Their business is finding out what's going on behind the scenes and then reporting on it. And so we knew that there was an Iron Man game in development before it was announced, that's for sure. Same with Black Panther, same with a lot of games, you know? And so why is it bad for this to happen and just, oh, you've seen some gameplay. Okay, why is that so bad? But then Jeff Grubb confirming an Iron Man game is in development at EA, that's not bad.
Is it because one was like a crime? Like stealing files from a company?
Well, okay, I mean,
but like
well, I mean,
the existence of some.
I'm just asking questions in a broad sense here.
No,
like,
yeah,
just
I know.
reflecting on.
I'm just asking the question.
I'm just asking
Your
questions.
Honor, I am just a humble hyperspace.
No, you bring up an interesting point where it's like, it's like there's almost like, should there be, or is there like an unwritten like rules of engagement? Is it not about like what you leak, but it's like, did you leak it the right way?
Yeah,
you know?
Sun Tzu's The Art of Leak. The art of the leak.
Yeah, because obviously Jason Schreier leaked Fallout 4 location and details many years ago. Very famous leak that's kind of sort of followed him throughout his career in many contexts.
Was he the press sneak fuck?
Yes.
Was that the one that he got called press sneak fuck for?
He didn't get that from
I
don't think.
I want to say.
Wasn't that someone at IGN?
Rafal Antonio.
Yeah, that's
I don't know. Yeah, right.
I think like the difference.
Oh, it was Prey.
Prey, yeah, it was for Prey. They all wore t-shirts saying "Press Sneak Fuck" on it. Remember?
It was about Jason. Oh no, we'll be contacted left and right by press sneak fucks who will want to know.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Sure.
I think like the interesting thing about it is like the mechanics of the leak or how the leak came out. I'm not saying one's better, but like the distinction here is in a lot of the situations where it's like a Schreier or a Grubb or Henderson like leaking it, they've been told this by people who are insiders, right? Like someone who's working at the company who is like has privileged knowledge of it through one company or another. They tell these people the secrets, and usually there's as someone who has been told things in the past before, there's usually a kind of, yeah, you can leak this if you want, or like you can say this if you want, or it's like, hey, this is just for you, don't tell anyone. And in almost all these situations, most journalists who, I bet you all of these people that I just mentioned are abiding by the agreement that, you know, they have with these people. The difference with this one is where the moral question comes in is when you kind of break into someone's house to get the information, if you know what I mean. Like that's where a line is probably being drawn in a lot of cases. Like I know if I was in this situation, if someone had given me the information voluntarily, or I asked them and they were like, hey, here's some information. And I'm like, am I called to publish this? And they're like, yep. That's different from me then trying to hack into From Software and find out where the fuck that Bloodborne PC port is. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, but I agree with that. I actually definitely agree with that. Yeah. But I also don't think that's the distinction that exists in people's minds when they. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's what we consider when we're like, is this leak good or bad? The legality of the way you obtain the information.
It feels like the leak of something exists in its own place rather than the leak of like a spoiler. And the spoiler could be story, it could be gameplay, it could be any number of things. But people's sensitivities to spoilers are very, very different. It goes by person, right? But like, it feels like the existence of something doesn't ruffle as many feathers as the other. Like people, if they know that something exists, it's genuinely like excitement, right?
Sure,
unless it's the fucking Metroid Prime trilogy.
Yeah. I think
because that's the other part of it, right? It's like, and this is, you know, my segue into talking about the Dan Allen stuff from this week, right? Where it's like sometimes you kind of get people just leaking shit based on pure speculation from their part. And then that's the other side of the coin where you get people excited over a leak that you've released into the wild. And like a lot of the times projects get cancelled or just straight up don't exist.
The other thing is like the leaks haven't changed. The thing that has changed and has like really kind of skewed how we perceive it and treat it is the delivery method of those leaks. I remember leaks would happen as far back as the magazine days. Like I remember when it was so exciting when you found a leak in a magazine and it felt good, and we all kind of like, I think a lot of us built up our tolerance of leaks in that era because it was like you wouldn't hear about games for literally years. Like you would not hear about like that leak would happen, and then it would be in that magazine, and then that was it. The game would be announced like 2 years later or something like that. And then over time, you know, forums happened, but forums are still kind of like an obscure place. Like leaks would happen, but it'd be in IRC channels. It might be in a specialist forum. It wouldn't be. Video game outlets aren't as prevalent as they are now, and then there certainly weren't like individual YouTubers and podcasters that were delivering this information. I think the tricky thing about leaks now is like at a time when it was so hard to get information on games and it was so hard for like discussion around what's going on to propagate, that stuff was very, very acceptable, and we were like so cool with it, and we were like, oh yeah, this is the only information I'll get for ages, so I'm happy taking it. Now, though, that stuff is given to us like instantaneously every single day, all the time. The conversations are everywhere. And I think that's where it's like, oh man, maybe our attitudes around leaks are starting to shift because of that. I'm not saying either way. Like for me, a leak happens and I look at it. If I want, if I don't, I don't. And I'm cool with that. But I think a lot of people are now like, especially on the development side, they're just like, well, we were going to tell you this in 2 days' time. Yeah. Like it's really, but we're like, it sucks that you revealed every Assassin's Creed game a day before we were going to do it. So that's where I think on their side is, I would be pissed if that was me.
And I think as well to your point about like the way that leaks used to be kind of self-contained, like there wasn't really as a wide-reaching social network as a Twitter or even Reddit back then, especially or certainly not YouTube. And so like the way that things happen now is that stuff gets leaked and the developers frequently will have a social media profile and they can be contacted by just people who just every fucker who's like, oh, this wasn't leaked. Why isn't this happening? Or blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it's just like, yeah, the point of like embargoes and keeping things secret is because games change a lot. And so then if you release stuff or leak stuff that changes the expectations of the consumer at the end of the day, then, you know, that's a conversation that the leaker doesn't have to manage. That's something that like devs are going to have to and community managers. And we've talked in the past about like the role of a community manager is fucking difficult at the best of times. And then, you know, when you get misinformation out there, it must be fucking shit.
That is a really cool, really interesting like point of like discussion. The blowback it has on people who are like not involved, like the Assassin's Creed games leak, and although anyone online who's got like work at Assassin's Creed or Ubisoft now has to potentially deal with the mess of that, and those are people who like weren't involved in, they could not even be involved in development. It could be that's their problem now. You're making the opinions of everyone who sees that the problem of a few people who might have worked on it.
Especially with The Last of Us. I mean, that because you saw that with Naughty Dog just immediately being crushed with blowback on the basis of those leaks, and everyone,
because that was a malicious leak. That was it was deliberately really tuned to pick the stuff that they knew would rile people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, malicious. I don't know necessarily if it was malicious per se. Who knows what that person was thinking? I don't know. But clearly they knew that was going to be the pivotal moment in the game. And so they were like, this is going to inflict maximum impact, whether or not they were trying to do damage or they were just trying to get a lot of clout. I don't know. But clearly that obviously would have then, and then again, as I said earlier, that just forever changed the dynamics around how we talked about that game. And also Naughty Dog couldn't have their right of reply during that process because the context for that moment in that game is everything. You know, it's you just look at it on its own and you can't process it. It needs to be processed in the context of the entire journey that Ellie goes on. So Naughty Dog just having to kind of sit quietly and wear that for the months that followed obviously would have been super tough, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I guess to finish off the Leakend discussion.
Oh, nice.
I wish I could take credit for that. I wish we could take credit for that. Now we use it every E3 because everything always bloody leaks the weekend before.
Right.
It's the freaking weekend.
It's the freaking like there was a time, was it 2018? Tam and I were in San Francisco already, and we were in Levi's on Market Street.
Oh my God.
And Bethesda accidentally broadcast the rehearsal for their Bethesda showcase where they announced Dishonored 2.
Oh my God.
2017. So Tam is in the middle of fucking Levi's writing a news story on his phone. I'm like trying to relay, like I'm watching the video back and like, okay, yeah, Harvey's definitely said Dishonored 2. And then
I'm like crouched down and this poor like shop assistant walks up and she's like, do you need any hand? I'm like, no. Just like, I'll give a fuck about your jeans. I'm very about.
That is great.
But yeah, I mean the other Leakend thing would be the Dan Allen snafu.
Ooh,
fucking hell, boys.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Should I explain it? Because I actually was on this guy's channel recently, believe it or not. So so basically
you did say that.
You were guesting on there, or like you're just hanging out?
I was guesting on there, yeah. So I was on his, because he does interviews, and he's messaged me in the past and just be like, hey man, I'd love to interview you one day on my channel. I'm like, I'm kind of busy, but whatever. But just recently I was like, yeah, sure man, let's do it. Because he was like, he seemed like a nice guy. He was on the grind and like he was doing his thing, and he was very well respected in the Australian content creation scene, as in like PR people, and he was liked, you know what I mean? So anyway, long story short, there was a Twitter account that popped up a few months back called The Real Insider, and it was pretty accurately predicting some stuff that was about to hit here and there, picked up some notoriety on the back of that, and recently he posted up something about this account posted up something about Call of Duty, or no, a new development studio that picked up some former Call of Duty talent. And someone then asked a question to the Real Insider Twitter account. And then a YouTuber by the name of Dan Allen responded to that question by saying, no, someone else. So he was answering the question, but in that moment, it was pretty obvious that he had forgot to switch from his fake account. He was on his main account, and boom, he was busted. Jason Schreier then did some digging, comparing some of the stuff that the dad. The really funny thing is that
on
he's on paternity.
Yeah,
that's right. But the really funny thing is that the Real Insider had beef with Jason Schreier because Schreier kind of said, oh, one of the things that Real Insider was saying is fake about Assassin's Creed. And then the Real Insider, it was true in the end, because he knew it was true, because he'd signed an NDA to fucking see it, and he knew it was true. And so the Real Insider kind of like, dangled it over Jason's head and made him apologize or something. And then Jason was like, I'll remember that.
Oh, man. Yeah, Jason will remember that.
Like, you don't fuck with him.
On the birth of my next child, I will have my revenge.
Exactly. So Jason got his vengeance in the end, because he was the one that kind of went back at Dan Allen's posts and cross-referenced them and whatever else, and confirmed it all. Dan Allen originally denied it in his Discord, and then he publicly acknowledged it on
with a fucking
Twitter
notes, a notes
with his little
apology.
notes thing. And then he deleted his Twitter account, and then he did a video on YouTube saying he was sorry. He also admitted in that same video that he had completely fabricated any leaks about Metal Gear and Silent Hill. And it's like, dude, fuck you. Like, of all the fucking things you could make up, like of all the things, it's those two franchises. They've suffered enough. So
it's unfortunate too with the basically as YouTuber Dan Allen, he was doing things where he was agreeing to getting access to information and agreeing to an NDA or an embargo, and then using this Twitter account to be like, oh, I'm an insider. Here are some things, where it was something that he got in good faith.
Yes,
and violated that trust, and that makes things
not even necessarily good faith. You're getting that in a legally binding fucking document.
That's right.
I don't know words.
Some of the NDAs I've seen over the years, You do
He's-
not.
Yeah, they're pretty intense.
He's
Those.
very lucky that they don't do like monetary damages in most NDAs. There
'Cause
was a
people
period
used to.
where they would be like, when you sign the NDA, I don't know if you guys saw these, but like it would be like, if you fuck this up, here's the amount we will be coming for. And
Yeah.
it was
Wow.
like,
like a million.
sometimes it was like jaw dropping. Where it's
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah. It's crazy. So, yeah, spectacularly stupid move. He's Australian based, by the way. And so, I've definitely heard from a few Australian PR/publisher people just howling with laughter at this fucking guy, like just torching his career for just
For clout.
internet clout, and not even clout on main, clout on a fucking burner account. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Side clout.
spectacularly
Yeah.
stupid.
The wildest thing is like his insider account's got like not that many followers compared to his like.
It's like 4K.
He's actually got a following. He's got
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he had 100,000 YouTube subscribers. He was
200,000.
Yeah, 200,000. Like he was a name in the business, and like you squandered that for what?
He
For
was
Twitter.
also doing
For
He was
Twitter,
also
Twitter is
doing-
bad. It corrupts people. It's such a bad place. Look what it
No,
did to
Twitter
this
is
poor young
beautiful.
man.
You leave Twitter alone, okay?
he was also doing interviews with voice actors, and that was a really good offering on
Yeah.
his channel because he would basically get voice talent from all sorts of games, and he was actually doing a playthrough most recently with the voice actor from Red Dead 1. He was doing a play along.
Wait,
He was
Rob
doing
Whitehalf?
I don't know his name actually,
With-
but whoever the voice actor was, he has never actually played Red Dead before. This voice actor has never played the game that he voiced. And so Dan Allen was playing through this game with him for the first time. That's cool content. I would have liked to have watched
Yeah, that's
that.
huge.
That doesn't exist. That's probably not going to exist anymore as a result of this. So, very
It's very
silly.
unfortunate that when you search Dan Allen on YouTube, the fourth search is to catch a predator.
That's right. That's the other one that pops up there. So,
Oh,
but
A different Dan Allen.
it's a different Dan Allen.
It
yes,
is a
yes,
different
yes.
Dan.
It's just to
Okay.
clarify that we don't want to get sued ourselves, you know. So,
Oh, yeah,
but
it is with John Marston. Oh,
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
That's a crazy
Yeah.
get.
It is It
Because he's
absolutely
not
is.
like out there.
oh my
he's
god!
not
yes.
online.
I saw a headline that said "infamous leak," and I was like, "This dude leaked another infamous? What?"
But it's I mean, obviously we've talked about the impact of leaks on developers and games, and like this is very inside baseball-y stuff. It's very
Yeah.
self-serving stuff because we are a very small community of content creators and journalists and whatever else. But like this sort of stuff really fucks us because basically YouTube is way less respected / trusted in a coverage sense than media is. I've definitely heard it from various places, both overtly and sort of like subtly, that people don't, that publishers don't trust YouTubers, right? And so they're willing to go to print because they think it's a safe pair of hands, even if that print publication is a lot smaller than the reach of a YouTuber, because they think it's just safer. And this exact thing is why. This exact fucking thing is the reason why that exists. And it sucks because it just, it's super annoying. Especially in ANZ, by the way, because there's so few coverage opportunities here. And so it's like, oh God.
I think that's the big thing for me. I'm like, from a regional perspective, I know how tricky it can be to like build a community and build a kind of like a network of people in the region that you guys are in. And it's like, this is like, and a lot of that comes from like home base, you know, the Japans and the Americas of the world not giving those regional teams the kind of go ahead to reach out and supply that kind of stuff. And this is the kind of thing where it's like those teams remotely aren't going to be as charitable to the situation as they might PRs in locally will be. And so like you're just hurting a massive community of people. The interesting thing is like, have you read the comments on his apology video?
I have.
Yes, dude. Yeah, YouTube is a different
Very
place.
interesting. There's, this
Similar
is,
to, we remember Philip.
Like
Philip's similar. It's just, you know, cult
really
personality a little bit. Like, you'll bounce back from this.
Yeah, a lot of people being like, no, it'll be okay. You did it. Which is like, okay, are you... What's going on here? Like, I'm all for like rehabilitation and like being like, yeah, you screwed up. You did your time. You kind of like were remorseful and you spent some time to think about it. But these people are instant forgiving.
Oh wait! And now that it's been a day since the apology video's got out, like the weighted thumbs up on comments, it has changed. Like the top is all. It's basically everyone is just fucking disappointed.
It does have 696 likes though, which is pretty nice.
That's good.
That is nice.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
good.
yeah, here we go. Like this is a comment. Like, unfortunately, I see a lot of people saying we forgive you, and I don't think it matters that your fans accept your apology. While it's nice for you to say you're sorry, forgiveness is something only the people you've truly hurt can decide to offer. They don't need to accept your apology or forgive you.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I just say I can't imagine that any publisher / PR agency that I speak to here in ANZ will ever take this guy's phone call ever again.
Yeah.
That's certainly the running sentiment that I have heard from people. But look, who knows? I mean,
Who knows?
Whatever.
Bloody knows.
I mean, like I said, I'm all for rehabilitation. I feel like this, like I would love to see. I mean, like I don't really know who he was before this, but like I hope that he can go away, like grow from this and come back. He's probably not going to get a lot of trust from a lot of people, but that's just the L you're going to have to take for doing that, and that's the consequences of it. But maybe he can come back and figure out another way to provide some sort of entertainment or like to people.
And to his credit, I will say that in his apology, he was like really honest, because like some apologies were very much like, I don't know, we've all seen lots of shitty YouTube apologies. And he was very much just like, yeah, I was a fucking loser and I was clout chasing and I was addicted and I'm a fucking idiot and I'm a dumbass and whatever else. Like he owned it, and fair enough. Respect for that. That's something, because again, not a lot of people are capable of that level of sort of honesty and self-reflection. So yeah, I'm with you on that actually, as in, best of luck to him. I don't imagine that anyone, or certainly most publishers or PR agencies, will want to deal with him ever again, but hopefully he can find a way to grow and live and still find some happiness.
Also, to be fair, like but like you can make content, you can be a gaming content creator and never speak to those people ever. I halfway do. So
yeah, sure.
One of the things that I know we've all been watching and enjoying is Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and we are going to go to an interview that we did with Rafal Jaki, who, like I said, showrunner, exec producer, and creator of the anime. Please enjoy.
Coming at you with another friend per second. They just keep coming every second. Today, we're joined by Rafal Jaki, who is the creator and executive producer of Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the hot new Netflix anime cyberpunk show that has taken the world by storm. We're really excited to have you here, coming at you from Poland. First of all, how's everybody feeling after the launch of the show? It's popping off. How are you feeling, and how are the people you worked with feeling?
Thanks for having me. It's as a big fan of all of you, it's an honor. I think everybody's feeling a little bit great and overwhelmed at the same time, to be honest, in that sense that surely something will go wrong still.
Show's already out. It's already been seen by millions of people, but no, something else will go wrong now. This is not game dev, okay? People are not going to find a bug with the show, okay? It's fine. It works.
No, we have a running joke in the crew that maybe, because there's a lot of synthetic things that are happening on screen, that somebody might get an attack and just die because of watching the show, and then the headline will be somebody died watching the show, right? So hopefully that doesn't happen. There is a warning and everything, but you never know how things will roll out. But no, jokes aside, I think everybody's feeling a lot of pride, humbled that people like it. When you do such a thing for 6 years, took me 6 years, I think, to do. So, you at a certain moment, you have like, this is bad. Like nobody will like it. Like you've seen this 30 times. Is it any good anymore? It's like this feeling of lingering of like, is it good? Like, did we do well? And I think the validation that came in from people is super rewarding. Yeah.
So what I want to know is how you ended up working on the show. If you could give us like a quick path to getting there, because I mean, you're a comic book writer, most recently with The Witcher Ronin. You co-created Gwent. Thank you for your service. So how did you end up creating like a big Netflix show that people are like really digging?
Well, the thing is that I have this tendency of like, because in CDPR, it was very common knowledge that I'm the biggest nerd in the office. Like, hands down, like nobody disputed me for 10 years. And because of that, there's this notion of the edge, right? Because I love something so much, it actually comes a little bit easier to try to come up with stuff because you're like, yeah, I play board games for 20 years. I love them. Let's create a card game, right? Or, I had this mix of, I was the editor for comic books for CDPR for 8 years. And I love comic books, for, again, 20 plus years. And then like, yeah, I can write a comic book. How hard can it be? Right. And it's like, and the show came about very similarly because I think in 2017, 16, 17, something like that. I asked Adam Badowski, who's the chief creative officer of the studio. It's like, can we do an anime for Cyberpunk? Because there's like 3 distinct kind of influences of the genre specifically, right? There's the slice of like Blade Runner and everything that kind of encompasses that. But that, I mean, like the books, right? Electric Sheep and everything. And then you have the slice of like the movies, right? Blade Runner included again, but kind of everything that packs in there. And then you have the anime, which is clearly an influence as well for many people that worked on the game. And for me, because, again, as a fan, I started watching anime when I was like 12. So 23 years ago. I still remember watching Neo Genesis Evangelion in VIV format. The files were 16 megabytes. And you could absolutely see nothing. Because in Poland at that time, you couldn't get actually like maybe a VHS from an uncle in the States if you're really lucky or something, right? That was at the time that everything happened. So yeah, from that end, I thought it's a neat idea to explore. And Adam is also a fan, Akira Ghost in the Shell, all the obvious stuff. And he loves Japan as well. I actually speak the language because I graduated from Japanese philology in Warsaw University. So I have the background. That's why Ronin and Edgerunner is my wheelhouse, because I actually know the culture in a significant way. And I told him, like, we're going for a business trip to Japan. Let's just, let's make a deck. Let's speak with studios and see if it's really anything, right? Because I had no idea, like, how expensive it is, how much time it takes, what is necessary to do this. And Adam, because he has this soft spot for me sometimes, indulges me. Like, he was the one that said, yeah, you can do Gwent. And, so I have this kind of effect maybe of people. And yeah, we went out to Japan. We met a bunch of studios, and all of them were kind of skeptical because the pitch wasn't really there. We had one, but it wasn't really like, it was, let's make an anime, and that was it. There was no particular story that was really thought out or built. But that was kind of gave me a little bit of experience of like, okay, when I reach out, I need to do this. And then I think a year later, I kind of had this a little bit more concrete idea of what I wanted to do with the show. Mm-hmm. And then I said, okay, we're going to another business trip. Let's make it a little bit more serious. Like, how many episodes? What kind of budget would we need? How many writers? And then I kind of went into my kind of producer mode, which is like, okay, so if I had to plan this out, this is how it should be done. Like, this many people, this much money. And at that point, we also figured, okay, nobody's going to give us enough money to do this because it's a crazy idea, basically. Because the thing is that Netflix at this point, nobody's attached to it. Like, we just want to produce it ourselves. And we actually did in that sense. So what happened is that I assembled a small crew of 3-4 people, and we made a pilot episode that was animatic. So black and white, very crude animation. We did all the voiceovers ourselves. But we, like, a proof of concept of, okay, so this could be this. If we really put our minds to it, this is what potentially could become a really great show. And I made this really, like, very detailed board presentation about scheduling and voice work and how much music we needed and all of those things. And then we showed the pilot. And luckily, everybody loved it and said, wow, that's really cool. And they just gave me the budget and said, go run with it. So then a month later, I hop onto a plane to Japan. I meet a bunch of studios. I show them the plan. All the studios tell me that I'm crazy. This is actually the studios, all of the studios I talked to, and I spoke with, all the top 10 studios in Japan. They told me like, this is a live action project. This is not animation. Like
really?
That's very surprising.
Because all of them was like, it's very, like the tone is super mature. Like it's quite depressing in that sense. There's a lot of nuance and detail in it. And we got a bunch of offers after that. Like we kind of established, so the budget, the timing and everything. And we decided for Studio Trigger because they were quite similar to CDPR in a sense, which is like they don't really take work for hire stuff. They only do the things that they want. Mm-hmm. They're super, like, creatively, they're very independent. Like, they were opinionated about everything that I showed them, like, in a very, I would say, for Japanese, very straightforward way. And I said, yeah, I think this will be tough to make with them, but I'm sure the quality will be good. Because they were like, yeah, and then because, when you meet, potential partners for such a project, sometimes it's very polite and everybody exchanges like nice things, but that's it. But they were the only one actually that really gave me shit for stuff that, they thought were not there. And I'm like, yeah, that I like. This is what I can work with. And then actually, it went down into 2 studios at the end, which one is Production EG. And already the headlines would be makers of Ghost in the Shell and Cyberpunk, right?
Yeah.
And then Trigger. But with Production EG, they're an amazing creative team. But they already had 5 or 6 projects on their slate.
Wow.
And what is unique about Trigger is that they only have one pipeline of production, which I don't know how much you know about producing anime, but generally speaking, it's that a studio is more like a housing for different creators. It's very rare in Japan that actually the same crew does multiple shows one after the other. It's once a show ends, they disperse and they go do different things. But Trigger is very different. It's like one of the exceptions in the industry that they have the same creators in-house for 10 years, unemployment, like they don't like do much of contract work or anything, and they only produce one show at a time.
Wow.
Which is great because you have the same talent that you want to have within a show. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, at that point already, they had booked everything for 7 years. Like in 2017, they already had a slate until 2023. Wow. Mm-hmm. And any disturbance in production would cascade to all the shows that they were supposed to make in the next 7 years. So that happened to us like a lot. Different reasons. The pandemic and everything happened there. So yeah, I think I've diverged into different things because I don't even remember the actual question.
We're just asking how you are and how you're feeling. But
and I'm talking about production pipeline.
Honestly, when you said that, my producer brain just went, how does that work? How are you only like doing one project? So you're shopping it around, you said like 2016, 2017. When did things really start to get moving with Trigger, and how long has the show, how long did it take to make a show? Like you said, I don't really have any concept of how long it takes to make an anime series.
There's like 3 distinct stages, which are very, I think, similar in all the creative medium, which is like there's pre-production, production, and post-production. The only thing that actually is different a lot is that pre-production in animation is the most important thing. Production is the hardest in terms of physical labor, but it's not that complicated. It's just talent, time, and just effort, where everything needs to be figured out in pre-production. And then post-production, of course, there's a lot of things happening there, but it's a little bit easier. And what I mean by that is that pre-production for us was 2.5 years. Then a year of production and like 9 months of post-production, more or less.
Yeah.
So how it was structured is that at first we were supposed to assemble a writer's room and then give them the scripts, and they would make the show out of those scripts. And we tried to do that multiple times. And we actually developed 4 shows for this, like 4 different shows.
Wow.
You mean 4 different plots?
Like completely different shows, like
angles,
about something entirely different.
Wow.
So we started at one point, and this is what Trigger agreed to do. Then once we sent them the scripts, they were like, we're not sure. And then we were like, okay, so we're doing another set of scripts, very different. And they were like, this is again live action. You need to make it more animation. And we're like, okay. And then we did another set, and then we almost finished another set. And the thing was that gives me a little bit of a PTSD in that sense when I start talking about this. Is that what happened is that every single time Trigger really loved the story, like it was really good and they understood it and the characters were there, but they said it's not doable. Like, you are writing this as a movie, like a live action movie. You cannot do that. At a certain point, we were like, okay, so we'll hand you the scripts and you rewrite them from scratch like an anime, like 100%. Right. So they did that. And this is where we kind of hit the spot and we're like, okay, this now works and we can kind of do it. So the 2.5 years were mostly this back and forth of like rewriting for several months, sending them the scripts. They were like, not sure. And then once we kind of decided, okay, we no longer know how to do it differently. So they took over the actual script writing. So that's why in the credits, you can see that there's the story by and script by.
Yeah.
Right. So that's 2 distinctive credits that we have in the show. And of course,
different? Sorry to interrupt, but how different was your initial script that you handed over to them versus the script that they finalized? Is it vastly different, or is it like, no, they just punched it up a little? It was basically the same.
No, I think it's very different. Very different in the sense that the story is about the same thing. The plot points were hit, the emotional arcs, all of them the same. But for example, I think I've commented on Twitter that Rebecca, for example, was not in the show in the scripts at all. Right? This is something that Trigger has added once they start working on it. So if Rebecca wasn't there, I don't know what I would do with my life now.
Yeah, great.
So,
sure, the show would be a flop without her, basically. Yeah. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
So. But also, there's more stages, right? We said the scripts are there in pre-production, all the concept art, on the location art, everything that needed to happen for this show to look how it looks. And believe me, that wasn't easy as well, because we clashed kind of the way that animation is done. We had no idea. And then the way video games are done, very different than how animation is done. So everybody flexed their muscles, and I was like, okay, this should look like this. And because we're quite different with maybe different partners that they worked in the past, because we're actually a creative-led company. Like CDPR is a creative-led company. And so we have all these concept artists and all the people that actually didn't work in this field, but have the same muscle that they can kind of, present. And so there was a phase where we were just like, oh, no, this should look like this. No, this should look like this. And it was like, because both companies super opinionated as well. It's like, no, this, no, this. So it was a lot of clash in that end. But I think over the 2.5 years, we built a lot of trust and like truly leap of faith trust, because in certain ways they were like, you have to believe us that this is going to be amazing. We cannot show you how it's going to look like, but you have to believe this will be amazing, because you don't like the things that were there. All the pre-production materials were really great. Like nobody, but we were trying to hit the aesthetic, for example, for almost a year, like going back and forth, right? Trying to find what the process was, we were trying to find a perfect still, like produce one still from the show that before we start production, everybody knew that this still is that. And that still was David. I think it was David in near his apartment in Mega Block. And that still was trying to give us the confidence of like, okay, we have the stylization done correctly to the way we think it should be, because is it cartoonish, is not cartoonish, is realistic, not realistic, how the lighting works in this specific things, like how much are we bouncing, one of the creative directors from the game that worked on lighting specifically, he asked like questions of how does the light bounce from dirty surfaces? And it's like, we had to answer this question to actually be able to lock down a still that everybody was happy with. But once that was done, then again, the process was rather easy from that point. But that's why the pre-production, everything needs to be locked down. And once we had handed over the script, then we started working on storyboards. And on storyboards, again, different scenes went in, went out. All the dialogues were looked at and, does it punch enough? Does it punch, not enough? What is happening there? And from that point, it was truly a, collaborative process, 100%. It wasn't just sending stuff, them sending stuff, we reviewing stuff, them sending stuff. It was like, every day, everybody was like reviewing and just going scene by scene and trying to kind of get the max out of it in all the possible ways. And then you get the animatic. And the animatic is, for people that don't know, it's like a rough drawing. It's just basically a moving storyboard, right? And that's moving storyboard. Again, you have like, in storyboard it looked fine, but in animation, this doesn't look how we felt it should look. And so again, another iteration of many months, each episodes actually, of doing that. And then you go to the actual animation phase of keyframes. And in the keyframes again, and all of that goes through all those processes where from the moment that we lock down the animatic, it becomes production. And when it becomes production, the agreement between us and Trigger was, we are not going to meddle anymore. Because how production works is you have almost 100 animators sit down for a couple of months and just draw prettily, in a pretty way, all the things that are in the storyboard. So you cannot really change anything at that point, because if you do, somebody has to physically sit down and just do the same thing again, but differently, right? So there's a lot less flexibility than doing CGI work, for example, in engine work, where you just, you move around the light, in this, or a 3D model, and that's it. Right?
Sure.
I'm not saying it's easy. Obviously, it isn't.
Sure. Everyone knows game dev's very easy. Just move the light. It's fine. No problem.
So at that point, there is some space to change things if they really don't work, but there's not a lot of space to change things. And so after the production is done, then we go into post-production. And in post-production, you record VO, sound effects, you give layers of like all the UI, for example, was done in post-production, right? The Cyberpunk UI that you know from the game that's imposed on the pictures there. And then again, it's another layer of like, we're sitting for hours and hours and hours in the studio with Trigger, recording Japanese VO to make sure that the actors actually bring everything that was needed. And our role here, again, was kind of secondary in the sense that we know how to record voiceover, right? We're good at that as well. So we gave kind of feedback, but from the moment the production starts, the director actually steps in a huge way, and he's driving the deliverance of that vision, right? So in the studio, for example, the agreement was that we can get feedback, but Imaishi, the director, is the guy that decides what the actor kind of goes for with the image that we have. And I think it's a fair deal in a sense that it's on his back to deliver the thing that we concepted, right? That was in the concept phase of pre-production. And also like choosing the music and all of that aspects are done in post-production, actually. So once that is done, we finished the show in April, and we were waiting to catch up with marketing materials, like, slates and everything that's necessary for actually to launch a show, and also have a good moment, right? Because Netflix has a lot of releases, and you don't want to be squished between a window that's full of everything. Yeah. Everybody knows in our industry, actually, like the windowing is super important for a game to do well. And that's the same for anything that goes on streaming. So we had to wait a little bit on that. But yeah, I left CDPR in June. So I still drove kind of the marketing campaign to a certain extent. And I delivered the show and then I left. So that's kind of a really cool feeling to finishing something kind of good that people like.
Way to go out with a bang.
Yeah,
man.
Oh my God. What a tenure. Was there a moment during production? Because obviously, there's so much back and forth. It takes so long. You're essentially working in the dark without necessarily a lot of people seeing anything. Was there a moment during production where you just saw something and you were like, oh shit, yeah, we've got something good here?
Yeah, episode 6. When I saw the storyboards for episode 6, I was like,
right.
Yeah. If anything, this will be loved by someone, I'm sure. Because the sentiment for the show, or at least that was my sentiment personally, and I kind of shared it with the team, and we agreed on the target, or what we want to do is we don't want to do a show that everybody will love. I want to do a show that somebody will love. To have that all in mentality of we don't need to do a number one, show that everybody universally will be like, yeah, that's the best, whatever, since sliced bread. But we really, really wanted to do this show with heart and kind of showing that we can push in the right way and that somebody will love it. And that was the most important thing. Nobody wants to do a 6 out of 10 show.
For sure.
I love that.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, I was curious. So is it right to say that you sort of came up with the original story beats at the very start, and then the story writer took that and fleshed it into a full story, and then a script writer made it a script? Is that correct?
It's actually more complicated.
Sure, but in broad strokes, I'm just trying to place your role within that story framework, because I just want to have a bit of a talk about the story, because I think it's really interesting to explore.
Yeah.
Without doing any spoilers.
Sure. I think the initial vision of what it's about, that comes from me. But then the plotting doesn't come from me. The plotting comes from the writer's room, right? Where the writer's room kind of... and we had, as mentioned, 4 different kind of plots that were on the table. And so from that point, I was responsible for the general vision of the show, but a writer's room is the one that, say that they... Yeah, were they
in-house CD Projekt Red writers, or were they separate, contracted in for this project, or what were they CD Projekt Red?
Most of them.
Most. Okay. And were they the same writers that also worked on the ones that you say most, were they also the ones that worked on the game?
It's hard to explain because there's a lot of story there, and I'm happy to delve into that. It's just a long story.
Sure.
That's right. Basically, how it started is I started working with Sebastian Stempien, and Sebastian was the creative director for Cyberpunk 2077, the game, for a long time. But he left the company around 2018. And now he's actually in charge of Diablo 4. So like the writing.
Sure.
So, for many years now. So I, fingers crossed, Seba awesome. And then there was another writer called Rafal Jaki, who's also at Blizzard at the moment working on Diablo 4. He's the, I think, narrative lead for Diablo 4, who also worked on the video game. But he for 6 months, half of his hours were put into the show in the writer's room. But then again, he left as well to Blizzard at that time with Seba, actually. So kind of that synced in some way. And then we had another set of writers that came in, one from marketing, two from marketing, actually, and one very independent writer who actually is the guy that wrote the story for Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the one that you see now, which is Bartek Sztybor. He was a comic book writer before, and he joined CDPR because actually a friend of mine that I play board games with every week just said, like, this really cool dude does comic books. Maybe you want to talk to him because I know you're doing like comic books and you're doing this secret project. Maybe you want to do, something. And I spoke with Bartek and we hit it off. And he started out as one of the writers on the writer's room. And then when the lead writer at that time left, he took over. He rewrote everything, basically. And from that point, this is what Trigger took
over. Yeah, right. Because I, having watched the whole series now, I think this is a way cooler story than the video game, right? And I think there's a lot of angles to that. But I think one of the major ones is I think it really sells the key pillars of the Cyberpunk universe far more powerfully and effectively than the game ever did. And I like the game story, by the way. I'm a fan of it. I really enjoyed it. But I think certain aspects of the disempowerment of that world are way better communicated within this show than they are in the video game, because you kind of have to be powerful in a video game or it doesn't really work. But I think the show kind of lets you sink into this feeling of like, man, this world is fucked and the people in it are screwed unless you're at the very top of that pyramid, I wondered if you had any kind of reflections on what that story, how that story maybe contrasts to the game, things that it's done better or worse, or how you feel like it shifts the Cyberpunk universe. Like what is your take on the overall story of Edgerunners?
I think we knew from the start that we have to make it less about the power fantasy and more about how it's lived in. Because the one thing that didn't change in all the iterations was the Night City was the hero of the show and was always the notion. That's why, for example, the opening song, "We're going to burn this city," I decided on that song and I found it.
Cool.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's you then. That's a great thing. What a great choice.
Actually, this is again a piece of trivia, but I just typed in YouTube songs about city.
That's great. That's great.
It could have been "We built the city on rock and roll." That could have been the alternative opening track to
Because to be honest, I'm not that music savvy. And I was like, I know this needs to be about the city. And this is about the city. The show, the one thing that is the connective tissue of Cyberpunk as an IP is the city and the stories that happen within that city. So I typed in the YouTube and it's like, oh, I love Franz Ferdinand. So I didn't remember this song that existed.
Brilliant.
I was like,
so great.
It works so well with the intro and just kind of like anime that has like a quirky, very memorable song. It kind of reminds me of like the "Fly Me to the Moon" at the end of Evangelion. Like it's very iconic.
Yeah.
So going back to your question. So sorry, I lost myself.
No, Mike, the question was really just about the contrast between the story of the game versus the story of the show, and what your general thoughts on that are.
Yeah, we really wanted to make it more grounded in the sense that the power fantasy in the game is, I think, necessary for this to be a video game, because you don't want to impose on the player certain limitations, because then it becomes less fun. And I think this is, you have to balance out immersion and fun at a certain point. But with the show, we didn't have to do that, because we can focus on, for example, cyberpsychosis, or we can, give all this kind of small things like, you would need medication because you have a transplant and your body can reject it. And how does that work? We even had it done further, in a sense that what happens if most implants, and that's actually in the lore, but it's not really well explored, even with in Edgerunners and the video game as well, is like many cyberware in the Cyberpunk IP are subscription based. Right? You have to pay each month. And when you go become a factory worker and you get a metal arm, the arm is you don't own the arm. The arm is from Arasaka, and they take half of your salary just for you to have that arm.
It's like BMW in those heated seats. Same deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same deal.
So we had a really long discussion in the writer's room about what would it do, right? How realistically, how this would affect kind of characters that live in this world where there's still the rule of the cool, like style over substance, but can we ground it a little bit in the sense of how do we show somebody that's really poor and you see all the superhuman people doing super cool shit that they don't actually own, and they're just doing it to show that they're really cool. And then they have a massive debt that they have to pay because they want it to be cool. And kind of that notion was something that was really kind of driving the vision behind what we want to kind of show, or how it's different a little bit from the game, because in the game, like, you want to have all the cool cyberware, right? That's, you want to be chromed up to your eyeballs, and that's it, literally. But in the show, I think it's also it makes it really difficult to showcase, like, those are not Marvel heroes, those are humans, and they have emotions attached to it. There's phantom pain, and there's like things that really are there when you think about it, like from the perspective of like a linear medium, and like in making a linear medium, suspension of disbelief is really important, and we really did our darn best, I think, to not break that suspension of disbelief for the show. Of course, understanding it's still cyberpunk. It's it's super crazy, but like breaking its own, it shouldn't break its own rules. Like, I have an example that really sticking with me from a friend that's a writer that told me that he was reading a Polish crime novel, and one of the heroes of that novel went into a Pizza Hut and he ordered a Coca-Cola. And at least in Europe, Pizza Hut only has Pepsi. And from that point, anything that was written in that book was already a lie for the person that was reading
out the window.
Because he knew that the writer can lie to him in the narrative. Like, he doesn't need to base things in reality so he broke the suspension of disbelief. And because that was broken, he no longer believed anything that happened in that book. And
like, your friend has some really high standards, man. Like, I really think this guy needs to chill out a little bit. Like, he probably does he like anything? Because it's probably he's going to find something in anything he watches or reads.
Pepsi versus Coke is a big deal.
Yeah, soft drinks, Jake here. Yeah, I think it's a big deal. Like, don't disrespect. Like, but I think in general, I think there were different driving forces for it, and like that suspension of disbelief and making it a little bit more grounded, and not lean into the power fantasy that much, or at least have moments where the power fantasy would live a little bit separately from the whole narrative. I think that was important. And I think this is where we diverge the most.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really like, obviously it's very focused on, like, cyberpsychosis, getting chromed up. It actually reminds me of the very first anime that I ever saw, which is called Technoman Blade or Tekkaman Blade. Has anyone ever heard of this before? The one. And it was like, it's back in the day, man. But it's basically like this guy, and every time he mechs up, costs him like something, you know what I mean? And like he can only mech up so many times, and every time he does it, it's like one more strain. And I love that idea. I've never got that show out of my head my entire life. I love any medium that explores that idea that you have this power, but it costs you something when you use it. And I think the show did such a really a fantastic job of exploring that notion, but also in a societal context where you have this entire society of people making that choice, or this underclass of people doing that. And it was just a really cool angle, I think.
Yeah. It was in Polish TV as well in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
So, I remember that show. Yeah. And there was a lot of Zergs. He fought with a lot of Zergs, and then the mechas he was an alien as well. Spoiler alert. So,
That's right.
I remember that.
That's so cool. Yeah. Sweet. And I don't know, I'm sorry if I'm taking over the conversation, but the music, it is, I think even more than the visual style, I feel like the music is the signature of the series. It is so distinctive in its audio signature. I mean, did you have any input into, other than the opening track, did you have any input into the soundtrack? And was there any back and forth on that? Or was that a total Trigger call? Was that a director call? How did that play out?
That's a funny story, actually. There's a lot of people say that the music is really cool and they like it and they vibe with it a lot. The thing was that Akira Yamaoka is the composer for the original score. And CDPR was responsible for the music. We were supposed to deliver the music to Trigger, and then they can use it as they see fit, in a sense that we were kind of in charge of making the creative decision of what is in the soundtrack, but Trigger has the decision of where to put it. Because at the end of the day, they edited and they made the animation. So it makes sense for them to make those decisions. And this was on the music supervisor and the director itself. But we had some disconnect with Trigger because once we entered post-production, they wanted more and more non-instrumental stuff. Because the whole OST that we gave them was just pure music, no words. The only track that was music had music and lyrics was the opening and the ending. And we were like, we have this 100-minute soundtrack which has no songs with lyrics, and you want songs with lyrics. And we were like, okay, we have the radio from Cyberpunk, right? So we will create a folder for you from songs that we know we can get. I don't want to delve into kind of, licensing of music for video games. That's super complicated.
Yeah, we're YouTubers. We get it.
Yeah.
It's a bullshit world.
Yeah. But we created a folder, basically. And we put in the folder all the songs that we know we could get for the show. Because, again, we had licensing rights for the video game, but those are different licensing rights for the show. You have to basically do the same thing, but again, for a different medium. And we told them, they told us at a certain point, we need one or two. It's going to be fine. And then we went into post-production and they used a lot. And we're like, okay. But then they used it in a way that we already could saw it with picture, animatic, of course, not the final picture. Fuck, that works. So we're like, okay. So we have to go and get it now, because otherwise this will work worse, right? The thing we saw. So yeah, it was kind of a very last moment process in that end that we had the library that we gave to Trigger, and then they made the most out of it. But for example, with the ending song, and Dawid Podsiadło, who is, I don't know if you are aware, but in Poland, he's the #1 pop star, by far. He sells out stadiums that are 80,000 people, in 1 hour. So he is huge. And he's a friend, actually. So I called him up and said, like, can you do a song for me?
What a flex.
Yeah,
Because he's
great.
He's a huge gamer, actually. I sat down with him once when he was, I think, doing a demo for the game. And he told me, he's like, yeah, if I wasn't into music, I would do video games for sure. And he's like, he has 160 hours in Cyberpunk 2077, like 200 hours in Witcher 3. He loves Dying Light, and he's like really a true gamer. And I knew that I can get him because he loves this shit, right? He's a nerd, so I can, if I call him and tell him that this is an opportunity to do it, he's like, yeah. The schedule will be fucked because I have concerts booked for 3 years, but, we'll do it. Don't worry about it.
Cool.
And once I worked with him on that song for almost 2 years to make that song, because we also produced a music video that's totally separate from the show. And it's done actually by a different studio, not Trigger, because Trigger at that point was knee deep in everything that needs to be delivered for the show, so they couldn't do it. And so that was a really big process to just produce that one song to this quality. But I'm telling this story because during the post-production, Imaishi specifically said to me, look, can I get more of his songs? And I'm like, he's a superstar. This will be hard. But I again call him up and says, like, do you have any songs that are in English still? Because he sings mostly in Polish, but he has 2 albums in English that we can use. And he's like, show me picture. Like, show me what you're going to do with it. Like outside of the ending, and we're like, okay. We show him and he's like, yeah, cool. Whatever, we'll make it work. And then I think 3 weeks later, Imaishi calls me again. He's like, can I please have another one? Like, come on, man. You're killing me.
That's
and I'm
cool.
like, yeah, I had to call him again. And now 3 songs of David's are actually in the show. So yeah, for the music, I think it works because it's actually, sorry, I have another one that's actually funny as well. Sorry. Which is that there is Polish songs in it, like with Polish lyrics.
Yeah.
And the guy that actually recorded those songs was the general lawyer for whole CDPR. And
The lawyer.
No way. Wow. That is cool.
How it came to be is that we wanted the Trigger asked for some reggae tracks. So we reggae dance hall, this kind of vibe. And so we put some of the radio songs there in the folder, but we also put some of another Rafal songs because I knew that I can get them. He's sitting right, they're cool. I love his music. I think it's really good. So I was like, yeah, I'll put it there. If they don't choose it, we didn't tell them anything. That's fine. But let's check if, they like it or not. And there was a bunch of songs there. It was not like there was 3 songs and just one. It was like 20 something. And they immediately chose the Polish ones only, and they were adamant that this needs to happen. And inside the studio, I had to fight everybody almost because they were like, look, he's an inside guy. It's really good, but, we're going to get, flack about this, that we were trying to push, a general counsel kind of, but no, it's like, and then I made a test. Like I showed it to people that didn't know. And they were like, yeah, it's awesome. It's like, yes, this is awesome. And I'm going to show it to everybody that it is awesome. And so
cool.
Yeah.
The OST is not up on Spotify, if I'm not mistaken. I've looked. I see lots of playlists. Is the OST up? Is there an OST out yet?
The OST is not up yet as far as I
didn't think so. Okay,
yeah,
cool,
the songs that were existing songs is there, playlist.
All right.
But the OST is not. And people are working on it as far as I know.
Cool,
again,
cool.
Because I'm not in-house anymore.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't have that specific operational knowledge of how things are happening right now.
Yep.
And in terms of like, what can you tell us kind of like about the future? Is it hard to leave a project like Edgerunners? Obviously, you're not at CDPR anymore, but like it's come out, it's beloved. Would you, if the opportunity arose, want to work on a season 2 of it? Or are you kind of just like moving on and doing new projects now?
Well, at the moment, I'm at Techland, so I joined them on the moment I left CDPR, actually. And yeah, the only thing I can say is I'm doing the things I know best how to do, which is the things that you might think of. I don't know where it takes me. It's just the beginning of the road, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's not a secret that many video game studios are actually looking at, different entry points. Because I really hate the word transmedia, because it's kind of dirty in that sense. It's like, it's a cash grab made to, like the ones that I feel succeeded were the ones that the people that were deeply involved in the IP were in charge of, or at least were heard in the creative process. And because of that, those are good things rather than, let's take the coating of an IP and make sure that it's sound, but other than that, the soul isn't there for it. So a lot of video game companies right now are trying to make those entry points from like different mediums. So I think I have some credit in that regard. So let's see how that rolls.
And are we going to get a season 2 of Edgerunners or not? Can you break the news here on the Frames Per Second podcast? Just tell us right now. Give us a headline.
I honestly don't know.
Sure. Of course, that's what you'd say. Of course, that's what you'd say.
No. Honest to God, I have no idea, because how I envisioned it at the start is that, especially if you watch the whole show, it's like it's very done in that sense that it's the story that was supposed to be told was told to satisfaction of all the creative force that were engaged. And everybody on our end from the team was really happy how it ended. And doesn't mean that there isn't more stories that are connected somehow. But actually, we never spoke about a season 2, ever, actually. Because for us, it was this 10 episodes of what the story is. And we wanted to tell it. And I'm sure there's some discussion. But honestly, I have no idea if, what needs to happen, who needs to do something, if Netflix wants to do something. No idea, honestly.
Sure. Yeah, right. And also, obviously it's led to a huge resurgence of Cyberpunk. Like it's capping out like 85,000 current players on Steam right now. That's just Steam. That doesn't count any other platforms. Are you surprised to see it getting this kind of the game getting this kind of halo effect? Or you're like, I knew this would happen. Like this is a foregone conclusion.
No, nobody was projecting that this will happen for sure.
Really?
Yeah, because
you had the success of The Witcher, though. That obviously pumped The Witcher, the game sales massively after the show.
But it's live action. It's very different.
Okay.
Anime, even though it's very global and everybody, it truly is transformed in the last 10 years in terms of reach. It's still a Japanese-looking show that is not for everybody, right? And in that sense, we never knew if this is going to do anything. And for example, if you look for the anime that Witcher did, it didn't have that effect, like for CDPR, right?
True.
So we didn't know, and it was always like, if nobody signs this with us at that point, if no streamer wants it, we're just releasing on YouTube for free. Because we really wanted to do this, and everybody wanted to take a risk. And that was amazing in that sense that, we didn't have this leverage when talking with all those guys, because normally in Hollywood, you come into the door and said, I need your money to make my dream come true. And it was the exact opposite, because said, we're financing ourselves. Like, we don't need your money. It's fine. But we really want you as a partner to reach as many people as we want, as we can. And that was a very different conversation that they're used to, I think, in that sense. So yeah, we had no idea, actually. I think before I left, I had the conversation with Adam Badowski that he might say, look, we've seen the show. It's really good. We love it. It might have zero effect. So don't be kind of down if this doesn't do anything. Because it might be just like people won't connect to it and that's it. And we were prepared for it, like that might happen. So I was confident that we made at least a 7 out of 10 show, like in terms of quality, like because of course there's like different feelings about certain things, different tastes. That's fine, but I think the quality is there. So I was sure that if somebody gave us like a 5, that would be unjust. It might not be for that person, but the quality is there. Like everybody gave their all to produce this.
Yeah.
But is it an 8, a 9? Nobody knows never. Like it's you never know. But for the halo effect, I'm so happy for the team at CDPR that they're getting a chance for people to come out of the closet in a sense. That call is like, yeah, I actually like Cyberpunk. It's no longer like an angry mob situation where somebody comes out and is like, you can't like this. Because obviously, there were bumps, everybody knows about this, and it's like, it's obvious. But at the same time, I love that game. I worked on it for 8 years as well. And I think, in hindsight, of course, there's many things that could have been done differently, and it should. And I think the studio is changing for it to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I think this brings the spirit of the team into high again. And especially with the announcement of the first expansion, I think the redemption arc or whatever, how we call it, it's like it at least hit a point where people aren't ashamed anymore to say that, no, I actually like that game. Not without flaws, but I liked it. And I think that for me is the coolest shit I could have done ever, because nobody ever wants to make a bad thing, ever. And everybody, most of the time, is doing their absolute best at everything they want to do. So I'm glad that there's at least buzz to give that opportunity, because I think it's not about the anime, actually, because the game is the game. And if somebody doesn't like it, then they won't like it because they like the anime. But I think, yeah.
I was going to say, I think at this point, people are modding in Daniel and Lucy. Like they're absolutely working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are, I wanted to say a massive spoiler. It's good that I did.
Spoiler free.
Yeah. Let's say that the weapon that Rebecca has, which was part of 1.6, the patch, people are using it in a very creative ways to take vengeance, I think, on this certain
right.
character.
I say yes. I can imagine who. I can imagine. Cool.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite character
in the show or in the game?
Yeah, if you could boil it down to one. I know it's probably hard, but
I think Rebecca at the end, because for me, she in a city like Night City, it's really hard to be vulnerable and to kind of be there for somebody. And she's super brave. She's super brave, and I love that about her. So I want to be as brave as her, obviously not in life and death situations, but in general in life. So I love her for that.
I had one question. How did you get Giancarlo Esposito in this? What the fuck, man? How did that happen?
Yeah,
what was the deal?
Actually, on this one, I had almost zero involvement. Okay. So I can't really comment, because the thing is that the post-production for English VO was almost the last thing that happened. So I was no longer with the company when he came in and recorded. Of course, there was talks, and we had a huge list of who's going to do Faraday, because he was we already very early on found David for the English VO. So even though there was some talk, so like, can we, have somebody of like AAA stature, maybe? It's like, no. Like, this is our David. We're not changing it. And the only character that we didn't settle on in terms of VO actor for the English dub was actually Faraday at the end. And that's why kind of the opportunity came, a quick talk, Netflix helped, and it kind of came to be.
That's so cool.
In that sense, yeah.
Love it.
All right, I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think we got everything.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
If I can do one thing or ask about one thing, can I do a shout out to the team and kind of everybody? Because I feel a little bit weird. It's like me.
No, of course.
Like everybody that worked on the show with such dedication, with something that wasn't really sure, and everybody took a huge risk. So not only the team at CDPR, but the team at Netflix that really kind of gave it all, and the team at Trigger, obviously, that brought it to life, the things that we were talking about in like 7-hour calls that were translated both ways. Pure nightmare. Almost.
Wow, that would suck. That would suck.
Yeah, but I want to shout out the whole team at CDPR, the whole team at Trigger, and then at Netflix, because it was truly I think I counted. It's like 350 people worked on this show entirely, and from that point of view, everybody was very essential to bringing this to life. So I want to make sure that thank you. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
You all deserve all the praise because you've created an absolutely fantastic show. It's got to be something so cool to just point to and be like, we made that. Boom. See ya. So thank you for talking about it with us. We really appreciate it. Good luck at Techland. We're really excited to see what you cook up over there. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So I'm going to explain that the reason I was wearing a beanie in that, right, was because it was at midnight and I'd already showered and my hair was really floppy and I didn't want to have to put anything in it. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to wear a fucking beanie. So I'm sure the comment section is spammed with, oi, don't wear beanies. Right?
I found it a little rude.
And I agree with you.
You got a skateboard under there, buddy.
A little disrespectful.
Sorry, Tam, coming from the man wearing the backwards cap.
Listen, my hair was also pretty fuck right.
There we go.
So I was like,
I promise that the beanie appearances will be kept to me.
I'd like an Apple Notes apology, please.
Yeah.
You need to do an apology video that starts with...
That's right.
Turning on the camera. Yeah. So guys,
yeah.
So you're a night showerer. Where do the rest of you go? Of course.
So here's the thing. I'm a morning or daytime showerer because I feel like sometimes there's a chance that overnight I will like sweat a bit while sleeping. So I can't be like showering, sweating, waking up and being like, what's going on? But I think
you feel so gross if you go to bed without a shower. It's all like, you're all
on
icky and it's
Well,
on you, man. You're falling asleep in your own.
I know Lucy's a big proponent of this as well now, but like
I'm a day showerer.
a 2 p.m. shower, to sneak
2
in a shower
p.m.
at 2 p.m.
Wait, when
I take a late lunch. I have a 2 p.m. shower, and then like selfishly, it just means you can let your hair air dry. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I like that.
Video off in all calls. It's great. Yeah,
it's nice. Shower. It's good.
Wakes you up.
That working from home perks, just being able to shower at 2 p.m. It's good.
Take a little Diet Coke in there.
Oh,
a nice cold Diet Coke in the shower. Give it a try.
At the very beginning of the pandemic, I would end my work day at 5:30 and have a shower, but I would take a White Claw into the shower.
Shower beers, hell yeah.
Shower Claw. And it just really took the edge.
And then I went over one day and there was like cans of White Claw all over the shower, and I was like, we got to have an intervention. And she was like crawling around the floor.
Fucking hoarders.
Yeah.
All right. We've had also a bunch of game releases. Who wants to? JT, you normally take new releases, don't you?
I think so. Yeah. I'll rattle them off. Also, if anyone was wondering, I take a shower in the morning because I sleep like a disgusting person. Like I just wake up in the morning like, ugh. I don't know what it is. If it's like I sweat or like I just sleep with my mouth open or something. It's just bad.
Yeah. I know how you feel.
Let us know in the
You're
comments
one of us.
below
Yes.
when you take a shower.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to know. So major game releases since the last time we convened, which, as everybody knows, was 2 weeks ago. We have
Queen.
Metal Hellsinger that released on everything but Switch on the 15th. Return to Monkey Island. That dropped the 17th for PC and Switch.
Has anyone played that one yet?
No.
I have downloaded
No?
it.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I finished it. It's lovely and wonderful. And I don't know, did you guys ever play the old Monkey Island games back in the day? Yep, cool. Yeah, it's more of that. It's just it's lovely, but also very streamlined. I think in terms of they've made some changes to the way they approach puzzles and the way they approach just even navigation around the world that makes it far more pleasant to play. So yeah, it's really great. It's not at all surprising. If you have some vague understanding of what Monkey Island is, it's another Monkey Island game, you know, but it's, do you guys like the art style, by the way? Because that's very divisive. Are you guys
I think
a
it looks
fan of that,
really
or
nice.
You like it? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people are like, are you a bit more mid on it,
Up
Jake?
in arms.
Yeah, I'm like either way. Like I like a new style,
Sure.
but I was also like, but I really like the old style. You know?
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, so we also have Deathloop releasing on Xbox, which is pretty big. I'm curious to just
It's on
jump in
Game
to see how
Pass.
that is. Yeah.
I didn't realize they added a bunch of new shit.
And it's got a new ending.
What?
Oh,
Does it?
Mhm.
Is it actually going to be a good ending this time? Question mark?
Yay,
Listen,
yo.
Ralph, it's about the journey, not the end. 10 out of 10, gamespot.com.
We have very different views on Deathloop, don't we? That's it. Very different views.
Gundam
Oh,
Evolution for PC on the 21st. Potion Permit on all platforms the 22nd. I don't know what that is. Do you
It's like another slice of life game. You play a little alchemist in a village.
Wait, so is it
and
different to the other alchemist potion crafter?
Who knows, Lucy?
It is different to that. Yep,
Who
it
knows?
is, because that one is, I think, more focused on mixology. Don't quote me on that. Could be wrong. But this one is very much like, not quite Stardew Valley, but it's like you're living in a village and everyone's your friend and they need you to help them do this and you have to repair your chemist shop that's run down and whatever. It's one of those. It's very nice, beautiful art.
I think we're reaching the point now where we're going to move beyond cozy games and we're going to start moving into like switch your brain off task games, like, you know, the Power Wash Simulator. I think that's the next wave.
Various
Hey.
Day Life's got you covered. Complete hundreds of boring tasks over and over again with Various Day Life, available this fall on the Switch.
Also, this week's Sessions Skate Sim for everything on September 22nd. Slime Rancher 2 on PC and Xbox on the 22nd. The Dio Field Chronicle on everything on the 22nd. And Shovel
So
Knight
not
Dig.
a JoJo thing.
Not a JoJo thing? Dio Field is a JoJo thing?
Dio is a character in JoJo.
Yes.
Right, okay, got it. Okay.
Shovel Knight Dig is the last thing, though. It's worth mentioning. Shovel Knight Dig on the 23rd on Switch, PC, and iOS.
Is that a Netflix game? Is Netflix doing the...
I don't know. I haven't seen any Netflix branding on it.
Yes,
It isn't? Okay.
Because they're doing Immortality, aren't they? They're picking up like a lot of... Yeah, or is it Apple Arcade? Shit, Tam, it was in our showcase.
Dig is a...
I think Dig is Apple Arcade.
Okay, cool. Well, we've already said that we've got terrible memories. So.
Yeah, come on. We've covered ourselves here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a bunch of games. Ralph, I know you've been playing a lot of different shit.
Damn, man.
So where do you want to start?
So, obviously, Destiny 2, greatest video game of all time. No, I'm joking. I've been playing Forspoken. Did you guys go hands-on with that recently?
Yes, we did.
Oh, you did? Did you actually play it yourself?
I didn't play it, no, but
you didn't?
Yeah,
Okay, right.
Not personally. But
And what was
games
what
I
did your person
the takeaway
that,
was,
did they like it?
They said took a little while to get to grips with it, and it's got a lot to still prove, but the traversal was pretty cool.
Yep.
The writing, not as much.
Yeah.
Very, very not good at all. It was.
Is it mid?
No, it was cringe. It was cringe. No cap. Okay, it was deeply
Jesus
cringe.
Christ.
So told you we couldn't say it. I told you that's where the line is.
Dead
I
ass.
just proved it.
I have done this on
So
many other podcasts. I'll do it here as well. Video game people, if you need someone to check whether your game is cringe, let me know. I will offer this
Yeah.
service.
Yeah, you'd be
as
good
a
at that.
cringe checker.
It's
Cringe
so true though.
consultant.
Like for real, I'm legitimately, it's the same with Saints Row. Like if you just got some people involved at the start of it, so much of that could have been avoided, you know? And obviously I didn't see any of the real story stuff there in my hands-on session. I only saw the interaction between the main star and her cough that she talks to, because she's talking to a cough. And it was awful. It was relentless and terrible and not funny and just so bad. It was really the worst of the worst. But the funny thing was they wouldn't shut up in the demo, but then when Square sent through the B-roll, they removed all of it. There was zero of the cuff talking in the B-roll.
And I was like, with B-roll.
I seen you, Square. I seen you. You know, but
and
apparently
my
there
life
is
is pretty crazy.
That's right. Apparently, though, there is actually a slider in game that lets you turn down this thing. So even I feel like they even know that it's bad.
And then you can like turn it down.
Like, imagine if you could. I don't know, the slider in God of War to turn down Mimir's banter. It's like, well, you shouldn't have that. You should just make him say good shit. Yeah. Don't have a slider to turn him off. You know what I mean?
The only time I remember something like that being actually genuinely really good and useful was, I think it was in like the second or third Tomb Raider in the reboot, but the saying stuff out loud would be Lara giving you hints.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a difficulty slider. And if you wanted her to give you no hints, you could just make her shut up.
They needed that in Horizon big time.
Fuck.
Please, Aloy, shut the fuck up challenge.
My pack is full.
Impossible.
I should send this to my stash.
Oh, God.
Ashley Birch, I love you, but I can't listen to that line one more time.
Yeah. So Forspoken, I think you're right. I think has a lot to prove is a good way to frame it. I think it's got some interesting ideas. I like the fact that Square are trying to do something different. I'm genuinely interested in this. It's cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, at the same time, excuse me, at the same time, it's kind of like, well, let's just see how this one goes, you know? So I also played Wolong. Did you guys check out Wolong at all? Wolong Fallen Dynasty?
Have you tried to download that game, the demo on PlayStation Store? Because
no, I got sent
a little
early.
Fucking puzzle. Like, I tell you that much. Like,
really?
I went in there, like, they bury that. Andy Cortez from Kind of Funny put a video of it up, but like you go there and like he downloaded it by like it sent him to a web page to download it, and the way I did it was completely different. Where I was like, "Where is the download button?" So I just started downloading it. I found it eventually, but it's like hidden away in the 3 like ellipses menu, and I'm just like,
"Oh my god!"
Yep. But no, it's cool if you like Neo. It is to Neo what Sekiro is to Dark Souls. It is a stripping down of their format to arrive at something faster, more aggressive, more action-packed, far less focused on the RPG side of things, fewer loot drops, because that was a bit suffocating for the series earlier. But look, I don't think it's going to set the world on fire, this one. I think it's just more Neo-esque stuff, if you're down for that. But I feel like Rise of the Ronin is probably the thing that is going to catapult Team Ninja back into the spotlight if that lands well. So, yeah.
Yeah, they did say that they were working on that for like, they've been working on that kind of on and off for like 7 years or something. So,
oh, right. Okay. What, Rise of the Ronin?
Yeah. So, I'm pumped.
Yeah. Critically, like Team Ninja games have really bad level design. I think a lot of people don't agree with that. They're like, no, it's really good. I'm like, no, I don't know. Compare it to a lot of where this genre is now. It's very, very basic stuff. And the idea of an open world game from Team Ninja, that's really interesting because they do the whole level based thing right now and it's not fine on all cylinders.
Rise of Ronin, potentially or reportedly a Sony game as well. The implication being it probably will be exclusive to a degree.
Interesting.
Yep.
And Ralph, you and I have been playing Scorn.
Oh yeah. So tell me, I want to know what you think about Scorn.
I fucking knew. I was resisting making this Scorn reference. So I will say right off the bat that I experienced really bad motion sickness with Scorn. So I was kind of like retching my way through it. But on the other hand, I kind of am like a mixed bag of it because I really, really love the aesthetic. It's very HR Giga. It's very alien. It's gross, disgusting. Like if you are going around the world, the way that you interact with things is like you look like you're a hollow from fucking Dark Souls, like, and you stick your fingers into fleshy tubes.
Yes.
And it like all of the flesh looks like muscles around it, like the muscle from your body, and it's just like it's super gross, and I love that. But when it comes to the puzzles, and also I get that this was just like a demo that we were playing, I no concept of what the story is at all or where we are. And so when I'm trying to do like, trying to figure out my place in the whole thing, it's kind of a bit, I assume, something that will be answered in the main game. Puzzles as well, very obtuse. I think some people will really like that. And weirdly, I think my dad would really like it because my dad was a huge Myst fan, and like Riven.
Yes.
And
Yes,
so
that's
I feel
exactly what I
like
thought about.
Oh,
that's the kind of shit that like people who really enjoy games like that would really, really love.
Yes.
But at the same time, like UI, HUD, exceedingly minimal, no map, no indication of where you're going or what you're doing is even right. And so I think that will be a turnoff for a lot of people.
Sure.
But if you are the type of person who wants to just be like, just want to get lost in this flesh tube, and move all these gross things around.
yeah, I want to like goo stuff and just be like a weird ghoul and just like.
If you've ever dreamed about being
big-
lost in someone's intestines, this is the game
It's like,
for you.
yeah,
Finally.
it's like a big uterus world. The first map is like, it's fucked up.
That's not what
No,
I
I agree with
expected though,
you.
gameplay wise.
No,
Yeah, it's
slow and measured and.
It is. I really love this demo, to be honest with you.
Wow.
I was all about it. I think it was awesome. I don't know if the whole package holds up, but visually it is extraordinary. There's never been a game that has looked like this, that has brought H.R. Geiger's stuff to work, like to live work. Never realized it in a video game in this way. The closest was like the Medium, but that was just a different artistic inspiration from that Beksinski guy. I always mispronounce his name. But there's never been a game that looks like this. And it's the density of it is crazy. Just like the amount of detail on every fucking square inch of this world is nuts. And I love how unassisted it is in its exploration and puzzle design. It feels so obtuse. It really does feel like that scene in Prometheus where they step into that chamber and they're like, how the fuck do we turn this on? And that's it, because it's just this dead thing. And it's like, well, how do you turn it on? And you're walking around, you're trying to press buttons and whatever else, and not even press buttons. You're inserting your fingers into things. Everything is doing anyway. I loved it, man. I thought it was so cool. I'm super down for it now. Before I was like, this will probably just be like a survival horror-y kind of game. But this skirts survival horror / first-person shooter / puzzler. But it's just the grounding feature is its atmosphere, and it's nailing its atmosphere so superbly so far. So
I
man, put
I
this on
regret
your
not
list.
playing it with headphones on, to be honest. I
the
wish I'd done
soundscapes
that.
also
I want to
really
hear
good.
the squish.
It's got the juice.
It's really, really, really sexual as well. Like the whole thing, everything kind of looks like a penis.
Baby.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And so, but also not just visually, but also in the way they've designed weapons. And like every weapon that you get needs to be like, has an umbilical cord that needs to be detached first, and you pull it from its womb. And, like the first puzzle is basically birthing this human so that you can then push it in a baby carriage towards this place so you can murder it. It's fucked up, man. I love it.
That's so dope.
So I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by this. That's if the rest of the game holds like this demo did, then I think people are going to like it.
I'm surprised how old school it sounds, but I'm excited because it's the release is pretty soon. So
21st October, I think. Yeah, 21st
Not
October.
far at all. And then you, in a massive contrast to Scorn.
Yes.
Also a game
Mario-
about phallic objects.
That's right, Mario, you dick.
Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. How did you find? Because how long did you get to spend with it?
4 hours.
That's pretty
so I did
decent chunk.
I did like 3 battles, obviously. But did you guys like the original Mario Rabbids?
yeah.
Did you guys play this?
I
Yep,
did.
cool. Okay, it's more of it, basically.
Good.
I wish I
That's all
could
want.
say anything more interesting than that, except that the soundtrack is next level.
even
Like,
better.
Even
Oh my
better.
god.
Oh my god, yes, absolutely. I was bowled over as I was playing it. I was like, what has gone on here? So that is the biggest step up that I noticed, because there's mechanical changes and whatever else. I did notice the Switch was really struggling to run it. The Switch
Were you
is
playing on an
really
OLED as
showing
well?
its age. Yes, I was.
Oh boy.
But it just doesn't run well, unfortunately. Not terrible, but like not fantastic either. But man, it was just such a fun game, so wholesome, funny, and so smartly designed. I think it's just more Rabbids, and I'm certain that people who like the first one will also like the second.
I mean, to be fair, I don't like the Rabbids part.
Sure.
I can deal with the Rabbids in the context. I could tolerate them in the context of Mario plus Rabbids, but
I think they're disgusting and they belong more in the Scorn game than they do in the world of Mario.
Right, here's the thing. Rabbids are just French minions. And
oh my God.
Yeah.
True.
That's very true. Think about them.
It's very true.
They need to be in some like garbage memes though. Put them in trashy memes and then they'll be like the minions.
You should get the guy who did the soundtrack for this on your podcast.
That
would be pretty good.
That'd be fun.
We hadn't thought about that, but let's make some inquiries, see if it can happen.
Let's reach out. Jake, what you been playing?
So my list is pretty boring just because I was on vacation and then I came back and I've kind of been catching up on work.
You're playing Death Stranding in real life?
Yeah, exactly. Iceland was just straight up Death Stranding. Lucy, I'm sure you agree.
Yeah.
It's just a great place. Highly recommend, especially if maybe you're an American and you've never been to Europe. I'd say it's kind of like training wheels, Europe or foreign country. It's very easy to figure things out. But I played The Last of Us Part 1. I liked your discussion that you did on the podcast without me, with Gene. Very good job. Love Gene. Shout out to him. All I really have to add to the conversation is that I was kind of the same way about like the whole like does it need to be remade and the price thing and everything. But after completing it, I realized I love the photo mode. I had so much fun with it. 2, the remade cutscenes are downright fucking incredible, to the point where I think it makes the very last scene of the game much better. Just seeing Joel's face and the subtlety of it and the detail of it just makes it that little bit better. It's so good. And then also, I think I realized naturally over time how it does control a little better because I was never like a hardcore Last of Us person. I know people who like beat it a million times. I just kind of like played it once or twice here and there. There were parts of the game that always like were like, oh, that's the hard part. Oh, this part always gives me a hard time. PS5, I like smoked every single section. And I think part of that was just how it just felt a little bit better, maybe to aim and shoot and stuff like that. Because I felt that about
the hotel basement. You know, where there's the blow to you turn the generator.
Yes.
I remember like when I played it on PS3, it was like PS4. It like was the bit that I just hated. Did it like first time, no problem.
Same. I was like, did they change? Did they make it easier? I was
I think it's just to improve the visibility in the area.
Yeah.
That's the main it's just so high res. But activity cards on PS5 really came into their own when you're mopping up the trophies and stuff on there.
Oh, really?
Just incredible. Yeah, like it just loads you in. Just boop. Oh, you missed a conversation. Okay, here you go.
That's cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. The other thing I played, and it seems like both Lucy and Tam, you both played it, is Trombone Champ. This dumb little game that went viral real quick, literally yesterday, I think. Yeah. It's a $15 Steam game that is, I'd say it's musical notes on a timeline, and it's keyboard and mouse, and you move the mouse up and down as like a cursor to match the notes, and you click to hit them as you operate your instrument, and it is a dumb trombone, and it's like a meme sounding trombone, and all the songs are like goofy, like God Save the King, like Beethoven songs, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, American anthems, and it's like I don't know if it's just me, but it's very hard, or I'm just not good at it. Like
I get nasty on every fucking one. Like
I've got like a few A's playing that game, so there's something weird going on with my trombone brain.
But the thing with me is that Nasty
inverted first time.
Nasty is actually a good one.
Oh, see, that's the thing. I saw Nasty and I was like, Nasty, sick, like cool, I'm doing great.
I thought it was like
there's times where this game is all about comedy. It is not trying to take any.
The visual pops are great.
It literally starts off with a Dark Souls inspired intro. Where like
that was so
there's like a woman talking about how you will stand before not like the gods or anything like that. It's like 2 baboons. And you're like, okay. And there's a menu item called baboons, and you click in there, and there's like something weird going on.
Some cryptic thing, yeah.
And like every song you play, there's no way to do it good because it all sounds fucked up. You're just like, And like the amount of times I've been doing what sounds like a like protracted fart sound, and it just in the corner I can see excellent. I'm like, that's you're just fucking with me here. And like at the same time you're doing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and there's like really old baseball cards in the background, and like every now and then a baseball like hits the screen, and you're just like, what is going? It is like pure hilarity as a game. Like, and like during the loading screens, it's like on average 5 spiders live in the in a trombone, and I'm just like,
all the loading screen jokes actually made me laugh.
If you lay all the trombones in the world end to end, you would go around the earth like 4 times as a thing.
They had one. It was like trombone in the United Kingdom is spelled trombone with like a bunch of U's, like OU.
It's very very fun, and like it's weirdly like you get into trying to make it sound good. There's also there's a freestyle mode, so you can just make your own songs up. Like you can try and replicate songs that you know.
Oh my god,
it's really good.
It's really funny. I'm really enjoying it. It's just like just a stupid kind of humor, and it's so easy to see why it went viral so quickly. But also it kind of like the other day I was at the Pinball Museum in Vegas, and I played Guitar Hero for the first time in like 4 years, and I was like, I miss a good rhythm.
Yeah,
this should become like a thing.
Yeah.
Well, Embracer, they bought that company that sort of is pretty up in this, so hopefully they do something to bring the music genre back, because you know they're willing to try some crazy things. Embracer. Yeah. I mean, they published Saints Row, so you know they're up for anything.
Oh, they commented on that one today. They were like, "Oh, we thought it would be a bit of a nicer reception."
Yeah,
right.
Jake, is that it? That what you've been?
Trombone Champ. I do ultimately. I was very like I saw it. I saw a video of it, and I was like, oh man! And I ran, and it was $15, and I was like, I don't know. But when I probably spent like 45 minutes playing it with somebody else here, and we were both laughing and having and that to me is worth it.
Yeah. Well, Tam, what you been playing?
I've been playing a game called Save Room, which I texted Jake about immediately.
Yes, thank you. I bought it ASAP.
Are you guys familiar with this?
No.
It is a puzzle game that is the Resident Evil 4 inventory system.
Are you joking?
What's it on?
I'm gonna go onto Steam now and block that game right now.
It's like $4. And on the left side of the screen, you have your attaché case. On your right side of the screen, you've got the actual inventory, and it gives you a set of blocks, and it's like put all those items into these squares.
Oh my god!
And that's all you have to do.
It's $3.
It's incredible because eventually you're like, oh, how do I get all these fucking items in here? And then you're like, oh, I know how. I'm going to combine these 2 ammos and ammo boxes. I'm going to load that ammo into this shotgun to reduce it, and then like you can inspect the. It is straight up just the inventory management from Resident Evil 4 as a game.
So when you said that, I thought they would like. I don't know.
It looks like Resident
exactly
Evil.
It
looks the same. It is exact, and it is so good. It's so fun to play. It's a little bit wonky.
Look at the herbs.
Yeah, they've got herbs. They've got the first aid spray. They've got the egg. They've got the egg from Resident Evil.
Oh my god!
That's great.
That's how shameless.
How is this legal?
But it works on Steam Deck. It's a bit finicky at times. It doesn't work perfect. But I played a bunch of it on Steam Deck, and once I realized the weird idiosyncrasies of it, I just got on with it. But I played that in bed, and I was annoyed that I had to go to sleep at some point because I was having such a good time. That game's really fun. I started playing Hyper Demon, which is
I bought that. I haven't played it yet.
I have no fucking clue what's going on in that game. It is insane. It is a lot. It's the developer of Devil Daggers, and it is it is Devil Daggers if it was Res, but every Res level was being sucked into a black hole.
Oh,
that is what that game is like.
That's cool.
It is mind numbing. Like it moves, and it's got basically the movement mechanics and the combat mechanics or the shooting mechanics of an Unreal Tournament / Quake, where it's like you move fast, you shoot at the ground to launch yourself in the air, you shoot again, you can dash, you've got like these weird like guns that are like railgun, rocket launcher, and it's just about surviving for as long as you can, and it's like an acid trip game where it's really fun, but also it's very intense. I highly recommend it. It's a good time. It also does this really cool thing where it's got like a leaderboard. And when you're like you place well, it will show you like climbing up the ranks. And it's just such a small touch that I really love. As you're passing someone that you know, it slows down to show you moving past, like bullet time. And then when you pass them, it speeds back up again. And let me tell you, it is so satisfying when you're like going up this ranking, and then you see a name that you know, and you're just like overtaking them. You're like, oh shit. That game is a lot of fun. Highly recommend that. And then 20 Minutes Till Dawn is a version, or it's Vampire Survivors, basically.
Oh no!
But another mention.
Yeah,
I think we're every episode now.
Yep. But right. if it was like not based on the Castlevania tileset and asset pack, it's got its own like vibe. It's got its own art. It's got a kind of like it's more polished. I was explaining to Ralph, like it's what Vampire Survivors has in like charm, janky charm. 20 minutes at midnight has 20 minutes at dawn has in like polish and feel. So if you like Vampire Survivors, I do recommend checking out 20 minutes till dawn. It's a good time. Yeah. That's pretty much everything.
I've got it downloaded. So I haven't played much else beyond Scorn. I watched Edgerunners. I've got 2 episodes of that left. And I was away, but boys, finally got my Steam Deck.
Hey, congratulations!
Hey.
Wait, do you have it, or did you got the? It's on the way.
It's getting shipped, but annoyingly,
okay, cool.
I'm gonna intercept it.
No, you fucking not.
Right.
Gonna get sent to Luce O'Brien because I'm not here. I think it's gonna arrive. Tam and I are traveling on a trip, and I think I'm annoyed because it's like 5-hour flight, and it would have been good to have. But
sure.
I'm excited. So I'm also like getting to the point where I'm
somewhere
just,
in that apartment, a Nintendo Switch is just looking over, being like,
yeah, it's right there.
It's
right there. Plugged into my TV.
Ripperino.
Hasn't been used in months. No, I'm at the point now, and this is what I used to do when I was a kid, and I would get Sims expansions. And hear me out. So like, the only PC that I had that would play The Sims was at my dad's, and I only ever went there every other weekend. So what I used to do is I used to take the like the little booklets and just read them.
Oh hell
when I was
yeah!
at my mum's.
Yep,
sure.
Just plan out what I was going to do. And so very similar vibes with Steam Deck, where I don't have it yet, but I'm on YouTube and I'm like, what to do with your Steam Deck,
Sure.
like what to get in first, like how to put the Epic Game Store in your Steam Deck. And
Just
like,
you get
give
an
it
SD
to
card.
just give it to Grub. Just give it to Grub.
You don't even need
then
Grub
just-
anymore. You just get an SD card and download EMU Deck, and you're in for a good time.
Yeah, true.
and then I've got my dedicated Vampire Survivors
machine. Yeah.
machine. Fine.
That's it.
That's
Exactly
it.
right.
That's it.
Exactly right.
Dishonored runs on it.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I've had like a weird hankering to replay Prey.
Ooh,
So,
good call. Very good call.
No, I'm excited. But who was I talking to? Oh, I was talking to Mikey. Who was I talking to? Is it Mikey Dowling? I can't remember. But basically saying just like having Yakuza on the go, like a dedicated, just fucking Yakuza machine that I could just
Actually,
have on.
On this topic, Logitech just announced a handheld
a little
cloud
streaming
gaming
boy.
device today for $300.
Yeah,
What do you guys think of this?
For $50 more, you could get the lower end Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I'm not the big. I'm just not into streaming that much.
Sure.
I don't understand it. I can do everything it says it can do on my phone.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I
the thing, like,
totally agree.
Phil Spencer was tweeting like, oh, I took it to Europe and I took it to Japan and it worked really well, even on hotel Wi-Fi. And it's like,
really? All right, if you say so.
Phil, mate, you've got a service that does that on here on my phone. So I don't know. Yeah.
I think if this is just like, hey, let's get out into the market, first adopt a price point, whatever else, I get it. If the price comes down considerably, I can see this being a really great device.
Yeah.
If it was $150 ish or less, then I'm like, cool, this is great. It's a nice big clear screen, nice comfy controls, does all the shit you want it to do. Awesome. But for $300, it's like, dude, what are you?
Yeah, it's very
expensive. It's crazy. So I don't know, man. I don't expect big things from this generation of this tech.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, pal. But, we'll see when it comes to market. It might surprise us all. We never know.
Yeah. True.
But no, we don't have Jirard with us today. So we don't have Fortnite in games, unless, Tam, you can rattle off games that have been released this fortnight. Very quickly.
Yes, this fortnight we had fucking Tetris, Doki Doki Literature Club came out.
Oh, I love that game.
That one Kama
GTA
Sutra
5.
Tetris that you played when your parents weren't watching because you got it off Kazaa.
Sweet.
Yeah, those are all the games that came out.
Whoa, I feel so old.
Well, no, I mean, 9th
Good job.
anniversary of GTA 5
That's true.
That's the
true.
biggie.
Dark Souls came out today. That's all you need to know. Okay,
Oh shit!
Okay.
All right,
It's big.
that's huge. Yeah.
huge if true.
Huge if true. Well, all right, boys. I think that's gonna call it. We've done another. We promised Jake that we wouldn't go for 3 hours.
And we might have gone for more than 3 hours. We actually don't know because all the footage is broken up into pieces now.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's gone. We're at 2 minutes. 2 hours and 14 minutes.
Well,
Okay, so
there was
with the
technical
interview,
stuff
it's like
in
3.
there. Yeah, Jake, we're
Yep.
sorry. I know
Sorry,
we said
Jake.
that we wouldn't, but we did. Thanks again, boys, for hanging out. I've missed you. It's lovely to see you all.
See you too.
Where can people find you? Jake, I'll go to you first.
You can find me on the Friends Per Second. Oh wow, that's this. You can find me Game Ranks.
I like that. That's your reflex, though. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
I love that,
I've been
you know?
on things a lot lately, and I've been shouting it out.
Nice.
You can find me Game Ranks during the day sometimes. My YouTube channel at night, and I like Instagram.
I do
like
see you there.
Instagram.
I do see you there. Yep,
Ralph,
yep.
how about you?
You'll find me here on the Shill Up channel and also on where else am I? Oh, nowhere else. I'm just actually on YouTube. I forgot. Thank God I'm not on Twitch. God, that would suck.
boy.
Fuck that platform.
What a week, huh? Tam, what about you?
I'm on GameSpot.com, giantbomb.com, kind of funny. I'm on Twitch. And actually, I might have a YouTube video coming out soon. Inspired
Whoa.
by this very podcast.
Oh shit! On your
Oh,
own
Yeah,
channel?
on my own channel.
Oh.
Inspired
No
by
way.
this very podcast and Jake. So Jake's been doing a lot of these bloggy things, and I was like, I could do that.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can
And
do
then
that.
you guys did a discussion about the price point of Last of Us, and I was like, these motherfuckers are missing the biggest point. And this, so
Ooh, all right.
I was like,
all right.
it was one of those moments where I was like, I wish I was there so I could I could say this, and I was like, maybe I could just put it in my own video. So maybe you'll see that on YouTube.
Hell yeah.
Search for my name.
I would like and subscribe to that one.
Yeah.
Fuck,
for
I
sure.
miss when you could do reactions to videos on YouTube with a video reaction.
Yeah,
Because you could have done the one.
could have done that
to
one.
R.
Yeah, that would
Oh,
have been
video
fun.
response. Yeah, I used to
Yeah.
thrive on those, man. I've been doing
That's-
YouTube for too long.
I have had this idea for my YouTube channel, which I think I'm just gonna do it. Where I was gonna do like a weekly apology video. about random
That's so
things.
good.
but do it as a in the style of a YouTuber video, but like that would be
Yeah.
my vlog update to be like,
Just
I'm so sorry.
apologizing
Yeah.
for all of your tweets.
Yeah.
And I'm on Twitter, GameSpot, Giant Bomb. What else am I on? I also enjoy Instagram.
Everything.
I also enjoy Instagram. If you want to see pictures of my cat, Instagram's probably the place to go. But thank you all for watching or listening, for hanging out. We really appreciate you. Jake, take us away.
Tie your shoes and go to bed.